This woman wielding a giant sword is Tengu, originally the empress of the great Rome kingdom. But she has another identity. She is the emissary who helps vengeful spirits fulfill their wishes, Lady Chinya. She has traversed countless worlds, helping spirits tear apart scumbags and take revenge on white lotuses. The vengeful spirit before her was a queen in her past life. Born into a military family, she donned armor and went to battle at 14, personally carving out an empire for her husband. But in the end, all she got was betrayal and confinement in the cold palace. What's more hateful is that this man didn't even spare his own children. At this moment, the woman begs Qian Yin to save her 2 children. She is willing to give up all her soul power for this, only asking that you ensure her children's safety for life. Qian Yin looks at the woman's vengeful name before her. Is it that simple? You don't need me to help you take revenge, nor do you want the position that originally belonged to you. Yunshi says she doesn't dare to be so greedy, nor does she hope for revenge. Qian Yin was moved by the woman's story. She agreed to Yunshi's request. Qian Yin raised her hand and waved gently, and the gate of traversing was opened. She leapt down with the system avatar. When Qian Yin woke up, she had already arrived in Yunshi's world. The time point now is when Yun Yin gave birth to her youngest daughter. No, without time to recover, Yun Yin hurriedly led the army to battle again. After 3 days and nights of fighting, she finally defeated the enemy army. But her body was also completely damaged at the root. The woman lifted the curtain and looked at the distant city. She said softly, "He Qingshan's dog life and his country. I'll take them on behalf of you, Yun Yin." At this time, in the prison card holding captives, a man was staring at the sky, lost in thought. This auspicious sky with purple chi coming from the east. Could the person I'm looking for be here? On the city gate, King Ningxuan was currently full of dissatisfaction. Why hasn't the army arrived yet? Could it be that Yun Shi, relying on her great achievements, is intentionally neglecting this king? A small eunuch beside him hurriedly tried to dissuade him. General Yun is a meritorious official and now has extremely high prestige in the army. Your Highness, you should be patient. A flash of darkness suddenly appeared in King Ningxuan's eyes. For now, I still need her to contend for the world. Once I've unified the world, I'll make the entire Yun clan perish completely. At this moment, Lingshi Heir suddenly appeared beside King Ningxuan. She said she came to wipe sweat for King Ningxuan because the weather was too hot. Seeing this woman, King Ningxuan immediately beamed with joy, saying he would definitely give the woman a proper status in the future. The woman said coquettishly, "As long as Shur can stay by your majesty's side, I'm content." It's a pity that Shur's body is so delicate, unable to be as formidable as General Yun, she said, seemingly about to cry from sadness. King Ningxuan immediately comforted her. That Yunshi only knows how to fight and kill all day. How can she compare to your beauty and delicacy? At this time, the common people below the city shouted, "Look, General Yun is returning with the spoils of war." Upon hearing this, King Ningxuan pushed Lingshi aside. "Quick, hide! You must not let Yun Qinya see you with me." This dog of a man. One moment, he was lovey-dovey with the woman. The next moment, he was panicking and pushing her aside. He hurriedly ran out of the city gate to welcome his general. The lady thought to herself, "A great man can bend and stretch. When I ascend to the throne, I'll eliminate this woman. After all, my foolish wife will be completely obedient to me." Lin Xinyan took off her helmet. At this moment, her body was extremely weak. The guard beside her hurriedly asked if she needed to rest first. But considering the need to establish authority in front of the people, Qinyan could only endure her body's discomfort and push on. He Qingshan ran hypocritically to Qinyan's front. "My wife, you've finally returned. I've been so worried about you these days." Looking at this hypocritical dog of a man, she wished she could eliminate He Qingshan right away. But people wouldn't easily accept a woman as emperor. He Qingshan still had his uses for now. Yun Qinya completely ignored He Qingshan's sweet talk. "I request your majesty to prioritize state affairs. Please quickly go count the war spoils. The celebration can wait." He Qingshan was stunned to hear this. He didn't expect Yun Qinyan to dare use such an attitude towards him. He wondered inwardly, why has this woman suddenly become so cold? At this time, a guard asked Yun Qinyan for instructions on how to handle the captives they brought back. Yun Qinyan ordered them to follow the usual practice. send those with status back home, and settle those with nowhere to go according to regulations. Suddenly, a man's voice rang out. General Yun, please wait. The speaker was a young man with delicate features. Judging by his attire, he was no ordinary person. He looked at Yun Qinyin and slowly said, "Pardon my directness, General. Your body is severely damaged. If you don't recuperate soon, I'm afraid you won't even be able to hold a sword in a few years." Qinyin sized up the man before her. "You understand medicine?" The man immediately answered Qinyin's question. "This humble one, Sun Juanhui, has some knowledge of medicine. If the general is willing to take me in, I guarantee I can nurse the general's body back to health." Yun Qinyin didn't speak. This youth was clearly extraordinary. Going to such lengths to approach her, there must be some ulterior motive. Thinking this, Qinyin turned to leave without mercy. At this moment, the man shouted, "Sister," while reaching out to grab Qinyin's cloak. "Sister, I'm not a bad person. Please take me in. I will surely repay you well." Seeing Sun Zihuai's pitiful appearance, Qinyin, who was always decisive, actually hesitated. But the next second, Qinyin still walked away without looking back. Qinyin's subordinates all admired their general, truly unpredictable. But suddenly they heard Qinyin order, "Take Sun Zihuai to clean up, then bring him to see me." The soldiers who were just proud of General Yun felt a moment of awkwardness. At this time, the corners of Sun Zihuai's mouth curved slightly. He looked at Qinyin's back and said softly, "My calculations were indeed correct. The Earth's heart has manifested." This dog of a man was raising his cup and drinking merrily, in high spirits because his wife had conquered 2 more cities for him. Qinya faced this dog man's flattery impassively. She asked the system if it had found out anything about Sun Zihuai's background. But the system avatar looked dejected because there was indeed no such person as Sun Zihuai when the host was alive. At this time, He Qingshan raised his cup again. "Wife, why aren't you drinking this celebratory wine?" Qinyin glared coldly at the man. He Qingshan was immediately frightened, breaking out in a cold sweat. He wondered why Yun Qinyin was so cold towards him. Could it be that she truly relied on her great achievements and had second thoughts about him? At this moment, Lin Shu'er quickly came out to smooth things over. "Your Majesty, you've forgotten. The lady shouldn't drink alcohol now. You even ordered this servant to stew this nourishing soup." He Qingshan hurriedly covered his embarrassment. "I was just about to ask if my wife would like to replace the wine with soup. But how could the vicious Lin Shu'er be so kind-hearted? In fact, she had already added a nauseating drug to the soup." Only to see, Lin Shu'er respectfully brought the soup to Qinya. "My lady, please drink it quickly. It won't be good if it gets cold." Qianyin saw through Lin Shu'er's intentions at a glance. She suddenly smiled. "Since you've delivered yourself to me, don't blame me then." The next second, she pushed the soup back to Lin Shu'er. "Sunny said my body is weak and shouldn't be recklessly nourished. You've done well taking care of His Majesty lately. I'll reward you with this nourishing soup." Lin Shu'er was immediately flustered. She stammered, unable to speak a proper sentence. Looking at Lin Shu'er, Qinyin suddenly turned cold. "Being by His Majesty's side for so long, you don't even appreciate this general's reward." Lin Shu'er was terrified by Qinyin's words. She could only force herself to drink the large bowl of soup. After drinking the soup, Lin Shu'er felt like she was about to lose half her life. She suppressed the urge to vomit, thinking that now Qinyin should believe there's no poison. She looked at Qinyin, who had filled another large bowl of soup, with anticipation. But the next second, Qinyin actually handed the soup to He Qingshan. She even praised He Qingshan for his meritorious service in guarding the rear, saying he should nourish his body more. He Qingshan secretly rejoiced, thinking that this foolish woman Qinyin was still devoted to him. With this in mind, He Qingshan happily drank the soup. Lin Shu'er wanted to reach out and stop him, but suddenly felt a surge of nausea. She quickly covered her mouth with her hand, but it was to no avail. Under the horrified gaze of the ministers, she vomited all over He Qingshan. At this moment, the ministers present were stunned. He Qingshan, covered in vomit, was also stunned. The scene was suddenly extremely lively. This idiotic maid, because she drank too much soup, actually vomited all over the Lingshan king. The room instantly fell silent. Soon, the shocked ministers came to their senses. How dare this maid offend His Majesty? Lin Shu'er quickly knelt down and begged for mercy. Having watched this splendid show, Qinyin stood up to leave. "You can continue playing. This general won't accompany you anymore." Returning to her chambers, Qinyin immediately summoned Sun Zihuai. "Sun Zihuai, performed the highest martial arts salute to Qinyan. Sister, I can't repay your life-saving kindness. From today on, I, Sun Zihuai, am at your disposal. Qinyan thought, this guy is really starting to find excuses to stay by her side. She didn't waste words. Qinyan, don't keep useless people. You claim to understand medicine. I want to see your skills. Sun Zihuai didn't dare to be negligent. He quickly took Qinyan's pulse. After checking the pulse, Sun Zihuai frowned slightly. Although the cold has entered your body and damaged your foundation, there's still a chance for recovery. Qinyan looked directly at the man before her. Can you really nurse my body back to health? Questioned, Sun Zihuai wore a wronged expression. Sister, don't you trust me? Outside, countless people seek my medical advice. Even if they beg, I might not agree. At this moment, the system's avatar looked at Sun Zihuai mockingly. You'd better save it. Shallow human, trying to sell your looks won't fool my host. You'll only die miserably. The next second, Qinyan indeed withdrew her hand. If you sincerely treat my illness, I will reward you generously. In other words, if you dare to deceive me, the consequences will be severe. The man looked at Qinyan seriously. Zihuai doesn't want any rewards. Sister, don't think of me as so shallow. I'm not only proficient in medicine, I know astronomy and geography, understand the 5 elements and 8 trigrams, am well-read, and have a heart for governing. How could I bow for mere money? Qinyan spread her hands. You mean you want me to help you get an official position in the court? Sun Zihuai shook his head gently. Even if I, Sun Zihuai, want to pursue an official career, I only wish to follow a wise ruler. As he spoke, he suddenly bowed deeply to Qinyan. I can see, sister, you are a hidden talent. I, Sun Zihuai, am willing to assist you in unifying the empire and ascending to the throne. Somehow, a giant sword appeared in Qinyan's hand. She said coldly, it seems you really can predict the future. However, in the next second, Qinyan's giant sword was already swinging towards Sun Zihuai. The cold sword stopped at his shoulder. A drop of cold sweat immediately rolled down Sun Zihuai's face. He hurriedly called out, sister. At this moment, Qinyan's face was unusually cold. She spoke to Sun Zihuai. Tell me, who sent you here? This volatile woman before him was calmly chatting 1 second. In the next second, she was wielding a giant sword ready to stab you. One could lose their head at any moment. Sun Zihuai hurriedly explained, I'm not an enemy spy. My Sun family has always made it our duty to assist wise rulers. Because sister is a hidden talent, I risked my life to come to you. Now the world is divided in two. Sister, your unification of the empire is the trend of the times. But the Lingshan king is incompetent. You must not hand the empire over to him. Qinyan was somewhat surprised. This man before her indeed had extraordinary insight. Sun Zihuai reached out and grabbed Qinyan's collar. Then he looked at Qinyan sincerely. I can help you nurture your body and also help you strategize. I will definitely assist you in becoming emperor. Sister, please let me follow you. Sun Zihuai's words indeed moved Qinyan. She really needed some advisors at this time. Qinyan used her sword to gently lift Sun Zihuai's chin. If you want to follow me, that's fine, but you need to show your loyalty. Are you prepared to offer your hand or your? Hearing this, the man not only wasn't afraid, but looked excited. Sister, take whatever you want, as long as it can achieve unification and bring peace to the world. Zihuai's entire body belongs to you. The system's avatar seemed to smell dog food nearby. But then Qinyan raised her sword. If that's the case, don't regret it. The next second, a flash of light passed. Sun Zihuai closed his eyes. A lock of hair floated down from his head. Qinyan's tone became a bit gentler. You're quite honest, kid. I'll kill you after I've squeezed out all your value. At this moment, Sun Zihuai smiled like a child. I knew you couldn't bear to part with me, sister. Qinyan held his lock of hair in her hand. I accept your token of loyalty. Come with me. Qinyan led Sun Zihuai to her room and asked the system to release Yun Shi's ghost to take a look. The child system, following Qinyan's instructions, immediately opened the portal. Seeing her child, the woman shed tears of excitement. She reached out to caress the child. She said softly, in this life, I've already asked Lady Qinyan to protect you. You won't perish in the fire again. This sentence instantly triggered Qinyan's memories, because half of her face was destroyed by her own mother. As a result, she endured countless mockery and insults. Qin Yin silently vowed that she wouldn't let this child follow her old path. At this moment, Yunshi's eldest son, He Winsai, ran in. He threw himself into Qin Yin's arms and started to act spoiled. Yunshi was now in tears. In the previous life, this son was raised as a useless person by He Jinshan, who even falsely accused He Winsai of burning his sister to death, making him suffer the world's abuse. Qin Yin told Yunshi not to worry. She would take good care of this child. Then Qin Yin turned to look at Sun Zihuai. In the boy's previous life, he was raised by his father emperor to be an uneducated sister. He was even falsely accused of burning his sister to death, making him suffer the world's abuse and condemnation. In this life, his fate will be completely changed. Qin Yin brought the boy to Sun Zihuai. Will you take this child? Sun Zihuai was stunned. Sister, do you mean for me to take him as a disciple? Then I need to check his aptitude first. Sun Zihuai, after re-examining the child, was surprised. When he first entered, this child had a short life expectancy, but just being held by Qin Yin once. Now the boy suddenly showed an imperial aura. This child has good talent. Sister, do you want me to train him to be? Qin Yin interrupted him. You understand. That's enough. Sun Zihuai instantly grasped Qin Yin's meaning. He Winsai looked at the two in confusion, wondering what mother and the handsome brother were talking about. The system avatar saw through the boy's thoughts. What else could they be saying? They're going to train you to be the next emperor. You've hit the jackpot this time. He Winsai on one side, and He Qingshan's bedchamber on the other. He was looking at Lin Shi, who had been beaten. He thought, it's good that there are only a few red marks, not like Yin Shi, who was all scars. She can still serve me in the future. Lin Shi thought He Qingshan cared about her and immediately threw herself at him with a smile. But He Qingshan dodged, causing Lin Shi to fall hard on the ground. He Qingshan spoke angrily. How many times have I told you, when Qin Yin is home, you need to be more restrained? Lin Shi now hated Qin Yin deeply. Since her return, she hadn't had a good day. She thought about how to make He Qingshan drive her away, so she immediately put on an act. Shi thought that now we're alone, my lord could finally do as he pleases. I didn't expect that even when your wife isn't here, you're still so afraid. Having his weak spot exposed, He Qingshan instantly became angry. You think I'm afraid of her? Yun Qianyin is simply ridiculous. He Qingshan, who cared about his image, feared most being called henpecked. Being told this to his face by Lin Shi was unbearable. If even a little maid like you thinks this way, has it spread throughout the palace and beyond? Lin Shi smirked. Shi wouldn't dare discuss state affairs. He Qingshan was so angry he couldn't sit still. This Yun Qianyin is truly a disaster. It seems I need to quickly send her to subdue the Chong king, so I can unify the country sooner. Suddenly, his eyes turned incredibly cold. Then I'll get rid of Yun Qianyin. Thinking of this, He Qingshan shouted, Come here! Prepare the army immediately. In 3 days, Yun Qianyin will set out. The female general about to depart was entrusting her family. But the man before her wasn't her husband. Qin Yin looked seriously at Sun Zihuai. For this expedition, I'll trouble you with my 2 children. Sun Zihuai quickly took out a small medicine bottle. I can't take care of sister personally. Sister, you must take care of yourself. Qin Yin looked at Sun Zihuai with a black face. Why is your expression so strange, kid? Qin Yin took the medicine bottle and turned to leave. Unexpectedly, Sun Zihuai shouted from behind, The children and I will wait for you at home. Qin Yin closed her eyes helplessly. It was simply unbearable to watch. He Qingshan, standing nearby, was stunned. Is he ignoring my existence? How dare this kid be so close to Yun Qianyin? Does he really not see me as a person? Without time to think further, he chased after Qin Yin. It seemed he also wanted to exchange some warm words with Qin Yin. But unexpectedly, Qin Yin mercilessly dodged his attempt to touch her hand, coldly saying, Depart. Watching all this, Sun Zihuai laughed like a pig. He even waved goodbye in the direction Qin Yin left. He Qingshan was almost angered to death, but could only grit his teeth and endure, thinking that when he had soul power one day, he would deal with him. At this moment, the system avatar jumped out excitedly. Host, You're finally entering the empire-building mode. Suddenly, Yunshi's voice sounded in Qinyan's mind. Lady Qinyan, Yunshi dares to ask you for one more thing. In my previous life, my father died on the battlefield because of this expedition. I beg you not to let my father participate in this war again. I'm willing to use my next life's contract in exchange for my old father's life. But unexpectedly, Qinyan refused. I never signed two contracts with the same person. The system avatar looked confused. It wondered when the host had made this rule. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed. A secret letter from Qinyan was delivered to the palace by a guard. Qingshan in the palace had been waiting for a long time. He eagerly opened the letter. After reading the contents, he suddenly laughed happily. Yun Qinyan had not only surrounded the enemy Chongqing, but also found a new capital for him. Now the fate of the empire was decided. It was just waiting for He Qingshan to go and claim the throne. Suddenly, he showed a hint of confusion. This letter says I should take guards and depart via the small road. The Yun family isn't sending their trusted men to escort me. The guard delivering the message quickly explained. There are rumors that the Chongqing still has remnant forces fleeing. General Yun is worried you might encounter an ambush on the main road, so she made this arrangement. In a few days, the general's father and young Master Sun will take the main road in your place to lure out the enemy forces. He Qingshan nodded with satisfaction. Qinyan is still thoughtful. It's decided then. The man was about to face a great disaster, yet he was completely unaware. He ordered the guard to call Sun Zihuai over. My wife's letter specially permits you to come along to supervise. Go back and pack up. Get ready. Sun Zihuai carefully looked at the letter. Your Majesty, are you not planning to take the same road as me? He Qingshan now had a smug look. I am Yun Qinyan's husband. Of course, she would make special arrangements for me. All these years, he has always taken care of me meticulously. Sun Zihuai says sister with his mouth, but he truly is attentive in every way. In his heart, however, he felt sad for He Qingshan's stupidity. Even this trap was tailor-made for you, sir. The next day, He Qingshan set out eagerly. He took his guards and embarked on the small road Qinya had arranged for him. On the way, he was still marveling that Yun Qinya hadn't lied to him. This road was indeed very safe. He would soon arrive at the new capital to claim the throne. At this moment, beautiful scenes were already floating in his mind. In the picture, he was drinking fine wine, embracing his family, and the whole world was his. Looking at Lin Shurer beside him, he was even more delighted. Suddenly, the carriage shook violently, almost throwing both of them head over heels. He Qingshan pulled open the curtain and angrily scolded. How are you driving? At this moment, a sword was placed against his neck. He Qingshan, what a coincidence to meet you here. When He Qingshan saw who was in front of him, he was so scared he almost wet himself on the spot. Because the person who came was none other than his mortal enemy, the Chongqing. The Chongqing looked at He Qingshan fiercely. Your Yun Qinyan has ruined me. Now I'm homeless and destitute, like a stray dog. Today I'll start by dealing with you. Meanwhile, on another main road, old General Yun and Sun Zihuai were also advancing towards the new capital. Suddenly, everyone heard footsteps coming from the forest. The alert old General Yun immediately ordered the soldiers to prepare for defense. When he saw who it was, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. It was Qinyan herself, leading people to meet them. Sun Zihuai excitedly called out, Sister. Back at the military camp, Sun Zihuai said happily, I knew sister would come to meet me. Qinyan replied with a straight face, meeting you is just a burden. Sun Zihuai didn't mind, saying, a burden is still meeting me. He picked up a letter from the table and read it carefully. The Tang King has requested sister to negotiate in 5 days. He also said he has already tortured He Qingshan. If he knew that sister was still here drinking tea, he would probably be angered to death. Qinyan calmly drank her tea. If he's angry, let him vent on He Qingshan. 5 days is enough time for him to vent. It's about time He Qingshan tasted some suffering. The woman's husband had been captured by the enemy army, but she was still calmly drinking tea here. Because all of this was planned by her own hands. Sun Zihuai asked Qinyan if she wanted to get rid of He Qingshan, but Qinyan said that the time was not right. It was still too early to eliminate He Qingshan at this point. Sun Zihuai looked at Qinyan with admiration. Are you afraid of being accused of killing your father? Or are you afraid that the world won't accept a female emperor? In my opinion, sister is the most suitable person to rule the empire. The system avatar was sweating. I knew this kid could accomplish great things. His flattery is flawless. Qinyan looked at Sun Zihua in front of her and slowly said, I will gradually dispel these concerns. Also, I don't like being stared at. Sun Zihua immediately looked embarrassed. In the blink of an eye, the day of negotiation arrived. Qinyan led her army to the foot of Chongqing City. Looking at the miserable He Qingshan on the city wall, Qinyan was extremely satisfied. She pointed at the Chongqing and shouted, Audacious rebel, surrender immediately. The Chongqing was stunned for a moment. Yun Qinyan, you need to understand the situation. Today I've brought your husband to negotiate, not to fight with you. Saying this, he grabbed He Qingshan. If you hand over all the cities under your control, I'll spare your husband's life. Yun Qinyan looked at the Chongqing and found it amusing. She thought to herself, you're really overestimating He Qingshan. He doesn't even control a single city. Then Qinyan raised her sword and pointed at the Chongqing. If you surrender and submit now, perhaps my great king, He Qingshan, might still reward you with a small official position. At this moment, He Qingshan suddenly laughed. If you obediently release me now, I might still spare your dog life. At this point, the Chongqing gave him a hard slap across the face. It's one thing for Yun Qinyan to look down on me, but you, a pretty boy who relies on a woman to build his empire, dare to be insolent with me? The slapped He Qingshan almost cried. The already ferocious Chongqing raised the gleaming dagger in his hand. Today I'll ruin that pretty face of yours. Let's see what you'll use to bewitch women in the future. The next second, the blade slashed across. He Qingshan's pretty face was instantly disfigured. He Qingshan, who had always believed he made a living with his face, panicked. He wailed loudly while shouting that he would kill the Chongqing. At this time, Lin Shurer beside him was terrified by this outburst. Has the Chongqing gone mad? I'd better play dead. Please don't notice me. By now, the Chongqing was prepared for mutual destruction. He held He Qingshan in front of him as a shield. Yun Qinyan, if you don't hand over all the cities under your control today, I'll split your man in half with one strike. I'll make you bear the reputation of a vicious wife. Even if I can't get the world, you two won't have it easy either. The Ningxuan king, ruler of a country, was being held hostage. The Chongqing opposite demanded Qinyan to hand over all her cities. At this moment, the generals in the army were in a state of panic. If they really handed over the cities, how could they face their fallen brothers? But if they didn't hand over the cities to save their king, wouldn't that be treason? This instantly pushed Qinyan into a dilemma. Qinyan waved her hand, and the soldiers immediately stopped their discussions. She looked at He Qingshan on the city wall. Although I personally conquered the entire world, I did it for He Qingshan. This matter can only be decided by Ningxuan king He Qingshan. Qinyan thus simply and brutally passed the buck to He Qingshan. He Qingshan shouted excitedly, Do you need to ask me about this? Of course I want to live. Halfway through he suddenly stopped. At this moment, He Qingshan realized that so many soldiers below the city were watching him. If he showed cowardice, how would he establish authority in the future? Isn't this the perfect opportunity to win people's hearts? As long as I get through this, everyone will be brave for me in the future. Besides, Yun Shi and I have 2 children. She should choose to save me. Thinking of this, he pretended to be righteous. He shouted, Soldiers, don't mind me. I can't let so many soldiers sacrifice in vain. Yun Qinyan, kill me quickly. I'm willing to sacrifice for the country. And this was exactly what Qinyan was waiting for. Now if I kill you, I won't bear any blame. Qinyan raised her bow and arrow. Soldiers, since our king is so righteous, let's cut off the Chongqing's dog head to avenge our king. Then Qinyan shouted to He Qingshan, Your Majesty, you've heard it all. All the soldiers present will remember your brave performance. Saying this, she aimed her bow and arrow at He Qingshan on the city wall. I'll personally send you on your way now. At this point, He Qingshan finally realized something was wrong. This Yun Qinyan really wanted to kill him. Lin Shurer was so scared her soul almost left her body. She shouted, My lady, no, because she noticed there were 2 arrows on Qinyan's bow. Obviously, one was meant for her. Sun Zihua, standing nearby, was utterly impressed by Qinyan. If He Qingshan begged for mercy now, he would completely lose the army's loyalty. But at this point, He Qingshan couldn't care about that anymore. He shouted, Quickly give them all the cities. Nothing is more important than my life. At this moment, an enemy soldier on the city wall shouted, "Look quickly! Your great king has wet his pants." Huh? Hearing this, Sun Zihuai also shouted, "How could our great king wet his pants?" At this time, the soldiers below the city had black faces. How could such a person be fit to be our king? It's so embarrassing. Tui, let him die quickly. The dignified ruler of a country, the Ningxian king, actually wet his pants out of fear. An enemy soldier on the city wall shouted, "Look quickly! Your great king has wet his pants." Ha! At this time, the soldiers below the city had mixed expressions of sorrow and joy. How could such a person be fit to be our king? It's so embarrassing. Hey, let him die quickly. Who has a bow and arrow? Kill him quickly. Jinshan broke down hearing the shouts of the soldiers below. He didn't want to wet his pants either, but it was really too frightening. At this moment, Qinya's sword also shot out. The cold sword hit both of them, right in the heart. Jinshan looked at Qinya with unwillingness, but Qinya's face showed no trace of emotion. When Jinshan woke up again, he found himself lying in bed. He sat up in disbelief. Great, I'm really not dead. But the sharp pain in his chest told him that he had indeed been shot by Qinya. Before he could blame himself, Qinya spoke first. "That day, I deliberately shot the arrow off course, avoiding your heart. It was to save your life." The eunuch beside him also hurriedly agreed. "General Yun not only saved your life, but also killed the Chong king to avenge you. Now the world is unified." The foolish Jinshan excitedly jumped up. Then this king can soon become emperor. Thinking of this, he ordered the eunuch, "Quickly go and choose a suitable day for the coronation." But the eunuch looked troubled. He said that because the incident of Jinshan wetting his pants had spread widely, the ministers and generals now didn't trust him much. Jinshan immediately flew into a rage. "I am the ruler of the country. If they don't trust me, who can they trust?" Suddenly, he seemed to realize something. The head eunuch also looked at Qinya at this time. The meaning was clear. They naturally trusted Qinya. At this point, Jinshan turned to look at Qinyan. Qinyan expressed that she wasn't interested in ruling. She also said that she had been helping Jinshan appease the army these days. In a few days at the victory banquet, she would personally support Jinshan to become emperor. At that time, the king just needed to perform well. Hearing this, Jinshan was overjoyed. "Everything will be done as you say." At this moment, he was already fantasizing about the good things after sitting on the dragon throne, and he completely failed to notice Qinya's mocking smile. Since ancient times, it has been very difficult for a woman to become emperor, so Qinya had to be well prepared. At this time, Sun Zihuai walked over. Qinya went straight to the point. "Next, find a way to create momentum for me. You know how to do it without me teaching you, right?" Sun Zihuai replied without any hesitation. "I have already prepared everything for sister." Qinyan looked at the man and nodded with satisfaction. "Then begin your performance." These two people were plotting a big event, how to make the woman before them become emperor. The victory celebration was held as scheduled under Sun Zihuai's preparation. At this time, Jinshan was still dreaming about becoming emperor. He soon became restless at the banquet. He urged Qinyan to quickly announce his ascension to the throne. Qinyan remained expressionless, pouring herself a cup of wine. Then she stood up and looked at everyone. The room suddenly fell silent. Qinyan raised her wine cup back and forth. "Now the country needs rebuilding. We need a wise ruler to govern this nation. I propose that the great king ascend the throne. What does everyone think?" Hearing this, the civil and military officials were somewhat dissatisfied. They felt very embarrassed about Jinshan wetting his pants. But seeing their general speak like this, they could only comply. A civil official quickly seized the opportunity and suggested, "The third day of next month is an auspicious day. The hegemon, as a foreign ruler, should ascend the throne." Hearing this, Jinshan suppressed the urge to laugh out loud. "Since all of you love me so much, I will hold the coronation ceremony on the third day of next month." Suddenly, someone in the room shouted, "Wait!" The speaker was one of Qinyan's capable subordinates, also a famous general. This empire was conquered by General Yun. "You, surnamed he, haven't contributed anything. Why should you take power?" Sun Zihuai, sitting on the side, watched all this with a slight smile. Seeing someone dare to prevent him from becoming emperor, He Qingshan became truly anxious. He pointed at that general and cursed loudly. Are you relying on your military power to rebel? Unexpectedly, the general below was not afraid at all. I am considering the welfare of the people of this empire. Someone like you, who wets his pants and surrenders cities when frightened a bit, how dare I entrust the empire to your hands? Although General Yun is a woman, she is 1,000 times better than you. She is more suitable to govern this empire. I, the general, am willing to nominate General Yun as the new emperor. At this time, numerous military officers echoed, we also support General Yun to become emperor. Just as He Qingshan was standing there embarrassed, not knowing what to do, Qin Yin shouted, silence. I know you all are loyal to me, but an emperor must be ordained by heaven's mandate. How can I become emperor? Just because you say so. Don't ever mention nominating me as emperor again. He Qingshan instantly became smug. Qin Yin is right. I am the true son of heaven and the only one qualified to be emperor. Just then, there was a sudden change in the hall. A tiger dragon suddenly appeared behind He Qingshan. Everyone was shocked. He Qingshan was also so frightened that he almost wet his pants again. This dog of a man who once wet his pants out of fear wants to be emperor. But this met with strong opposition from the civil and military officials. How can someone who can easily be scared into wetting himself be fit to be emperor? Just then, there was a sudden change in the hall. A tiger dragon suddenly appeared behind He Qingshan. Everyone was shocked. He Qingshan was also almost scared into wetting himself again. At this moment, Sun Zihuai stood up and shouted, it is said that after the world is pacified, a tiger dragon will appear. It will point out the destined ruler for the people. Hearing this, He Qingshan became excited immediately. Ha, you traitors, do you see now? Even the fire dragon has come to congratulate me. The throne is destined to be mine, He Qingshan's. At this time, Qin Yin looked at He Qingshan with a slight smile. Just then, the fire dragon from earlier began to change. A cloud character slowly appeared before everyone's eyes. He Qingshan panicked immediately. He couldn't accept this reality, shouting, this is impossible. Meanwhile, Sun Zihuai walked to the center of the hall. He bowed deeply to Qin Yin and said, it seems General Yun is the true chosen one indicated by the fire dragon. Please, General Yun, comply with heaven's will. Ascend to the throne immediately. Qin Yin knew the time had come. At this moment, she slowly stood up. Seeing this, the officials all knelt down and begged Qin Yin to become emperor. He Qingshan was truly panicking now. His throne was being snatched away right before his eyes, and he could do nothing about it. Qin Yin and Sun Zihuai exchanged smiles. They thought this kid's fireworks were not bad. Sun Zihuai was thinking he would have to call his sister Your Majesty from now on. At this time, He Qingshan was still making a final struggle. Yinner, you won't agree to them, right? You said you would support me as emperor, didn't you? Qin Yin sighed, covering her chest. Great king, it's not that I want to compete with you for the throne. It's just that heaven's will is hard to defy. The civil and military officials, seeing that General Yun was no longer declining, all knelt down. Long live the emperor! Long live, long live, long live. At this moment, Qin Yin was full of authority. She looked at her subjects before her, filled with joy. My beloved ministers, please rise. The scene changes. It was the day of Qin Yin's coronation. Qin Yin put on the dragon robe custom-made by Sun Zihuai. At this time, He Qingshan forcefully barged in. Yinner, are you really going to become emperor? Running the country has always been a man's job. Don't think it's so easy. Qin Yin turned around and looked at He Qingshan with displeasure. The fire dragon has appeared and indicated that I am the true chosen one. Do you want to defy heaven's will? He Qingshan quickly put on a sycophantic smile. No, you misunderstood. Actually, being emperor is a tough job. I just saw that you've been fighting wars for years and didn't want you to have to deal with state affairs again. Let me take the position. I'll make you the empress and let you enjoy luxury in the harem. As he said this, he suddenly lunged at Qin Yin. This dog of a man had gone crazy wanting to be emperor. He actually thought he could seduce Qin Yin with his scarred face. He Qingshan lunged at Qin Yin with a lewd smile on his face. But Qin Yin dodged and threw the man to the ground. At this moment, He Qingshan, harshly struck by reality, was full of resentment. He glared viciously at the woman before him. In the past, Yun Qinyan had always been obedient to him. Qinyan lightly patted her dragon robe. The coronation ceremony is about to begin. It wouldn't be good if my dragon robe got dirty. Qinyan looked at He Qingshan with mockery. Now I have the support of the people and the popular will. I have no choice but to ascend the throne. But this is just my temporary measure. When the country is stable, I'll return the position to you. He Qingshan seemed to see hope again. You'll really give the throne back to me? At this point, Qinyan had already turned to leave. If you want to inherit my throne, fix that scarred face of yours first. Surrounded by the crowd, Qinyan completed her coronation ceremony. She named her country the Great Yin Empire. The generals who had fought alongside her were all given generous rewards. Sun Zihuai was appointed as the first imperial tutor of the Great Yin Empire. The eldest prince He Winsai was named Crown Prince. The system avatar let Yunshi see all of this with her own eyes. Seeing that her children would no longer be harmed by villains in the future, Yunshi was finally at ease. And Qinyan had set a precedent for women to become emperors in this world. She sat on her dragon throne, looking down at everyone, gazing at the infinite arrogance of the bright colors on the throne. At this moment, He Qingshan, kneeling below, was grinding his teeth in hatred. He was still plotting to take back his position once he got his face fixed. He vowed that when the time came, he would crush the Yun family and make sure Yun Qinyan could never rise again. A few days later, He Qingshan hurriedly left the palace with Lin Shurer. He had heard that there was a miracle doctor outside the palace who specialized in treating all kinds of scars. He wanted to give it a try with a hopeful attitude. After hearing the maid's report about this, Qinyan smiled slightly. She looked at Sun Zihuai beside her. This rumor was spread by you, wasn't it? Sun Zihuai looked a bit embarrassed. Indeed, he had been seen through by Her Majesty, but he quickly thought of an excuse. The Yin dynasty has just been established, and the current situation is still unstable. Getting rid of He Qingshan can suppress those who support him. With Your Majesty's abilities, you'll soon achieve many accomplishments. By the time He Qingshan returns, Your Majesty's empire will already be as solid as a rock. By then, he won't be able to shake Your Majesty's throne anymore. After saying this, Sun Zihuai looked at Qinyan obediently. Your Majesty, you won't blame me for doing this, will you? At this moment, a hint of disappointment flashed across Qinyan's face. So the miracle medicine is also fake? Sun Zihuai, who was good at reading people's expressions, hesitated. Then he seemed to suddenly understand something. The man said he was the most handsome in the village and boasted that his nickname was Little Miracle Doctor. Sun Zihuai took out a small jar of ointment. He had long noticed the scars on Qinyan's hands. This was specially prepared for Qinyan's coronation. Qinyan was stunned by Sun Zihuai's thoughtfulness. Seeing Qinyan's scarred hands, the man suddenly felt heartbroken. Your Majesty, Zihuai won't let you get hurt again. Hearing him say this, Qinyan immediately looked exasperated. You kid, what strange things are you saying again? Sun Zihuai hurriedly explained. I can heal all of Your Majesty's scars. If Your Majesty finds this useful, I'll write down the secret formula and give it to you. Qinyan was very satisfied. It was fortunate to meet such a dedicated person. She asked Sun Zihuai what reward he wanted. The man suddenly stopped writing with his brush. He looked up at Qinyan with a serious face. Meeting Your Majesty and serving you is already Zihuai's greatest fortune. This time, Qinyan was truly stunned. The feeling from Sun Zihuai was too familiar to her. In the world of the Great Rong Empire, Qinyan also knew such a person. He was equally devoted. Qinyan carefully examined Sun Zihuai. He was really too similar to that person. The same self-recommendation to be an official. The same dedication without asking for any reward. And that same line, meeting Your Majesty and assisting you is already this subject's greatest fortune. Suddenly, Qinyan shook her head. There must be many great people in this world, and they all disdain fame and fortune. Thinking of this, Qinyan dismissed her associations. It was more urgent to deal with state affairs. With Sun Zihuai's dedicated assistance, Qinyan only took 2 years to let the people of the Great Yin Empire live a prosperous life. And the people also learned that their country had an excellent grand tutor. Qinyan's position in the hearts of the ministers also became more and more stable. Whenever a minister suggested letting He Qingshan succeed to the throne, he would be collectively attacked by other ministers. This led many of He Qingshan's original confidants to defect. Of course, Sun Zihuai's maneuvering played a part in this. Qinyan suddenly stared intently at Sun Zihuai. Sun Zihuai felt uneasy being looked at like this. The officials have been asking recently if the Grand Tutor is married. If the officials hadn't reminded me, I would have truly overlooked this. Zihuai, you have indeed reached the age to discuss marriage. Hearing Qinyan say this, Sun Zihuai instantly panicked. Is your majesty saying this because you're tired of me? Do you not want me by your side anymore? Qinyan looked at him intently. Sun Zihuai, are you unwilling to start a family? Sun Zihuai suddenly grabbed Qinyan's skirt tightly. I don't want to start a family. In this life, being able to stay by your majesty's side, watching the country prosper and never decline, is my greatest wish. He looked at Qinyan with deep affection. Can your majesty grant me this request? The man was telling the woman, until the seas run dry and the rocks crumble. Unfortunately, the woman's husband returned, but the woman didn't show any panic at all. She even asked the man to come with her to meet her husband. Qinyan brought Sun Zihuai to the Qingjing Hall. Qingshan had been waiting there for a long time. Qingshan approached with a sly smile on his face. Yin, are you well? In the blink of an eye, we haven't seen each other for 2 years. Qinyan looked at Qingshan and asked with feigned concern. You've been gone for 2 years. I suppose you must have found a miracle doctor to return. Standing behind Qinyan, Sun Zihuai had a mocking expression. But I see that the king of Ningxuan's face shows no change in his scars at all. What Qingshan hated most was when someone mentioned this in front of him, because even when he looked at himself in the mirror, he felt disgusted. But he couldn't wear a hat in front of Qinyan, could he? Qingshan glared fiercely at Sun Zihuai. Grand Tutor, I am after all Yinner's husband. We haven't seen each other for years and want to have a heart-to-heart talk. As an outsider, you should step down first. Sun Zihuai didn't move. Instead, he looked at Qinyan to see her opinion. Qinyan had a serious expression. The Grand Tutor has made great contributions to our Yin country. Moreover, he is the teacher of my 2 children. How can you say he is an outsider? Besides, the rules in this Qingjing Hall are for discussing state affairs. If you have something to say, just say it directly. As she spoke, Qinyan pulled over a chair and sat down. At this moment, Qingshan still hadn't realized his position and harbored great fantasies about the throne. On my way back to the palace, I heard something. Recently, many people have been hoping for my early return to manage state affairs. This even caused disputes in the court, right? Sun Zihuai, standing to the side, almost laughed out loud hearing this. He had thought Qingshan was well informed about the court, but he had overestimated him. Qinyan also feigned a puzzled look. Qingshan, what disputes are you talking about? At this point, Sun Zihuai pretended to suddenly understand. The king of Ningxuan is referring to someone proposing that you should succeed to the throne, right? But before Her Majesty could make a decision, that fellow was driven out by the officials. We don't even know if he'll dare to come to court tomorrow. It's a small matter. Your Highness needn't worry about it. The court is very stable now. At this moment, Qingshan's whole body was trembling. Before returning to the palace, he had gone to great lengths to incite his former confidants, but it didn't even cause a ripple. In just 2 short years, had Yin Qinyan's throne become so secure? Suddenly, Qingshan shifted his gaze to Sun Zihuai. Yun Qinyan knew nothing about state affairs in the past. It must be this Sun fellow who did all this. Thinking of this, a glint of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. This palace maid who ate the mad dog pill dared to scold the current queen for not being virtuous. And all this was instigated by the queen's former husband. Qingshan gave Lin Shur a look. At the same time, he said to Sun Zihuai, Grand Tutor, if you have no other business, please leave. Seeing this, Lin Shur quickly chimed in. This slave will escort the Grand Tutor out. We won't disturb your majesty and the king's conversation. She walked up to Sun Zihuai with a malicious smile. Grand Tutor, please step outside. You wouldn't want the Empress to get a reputation for neglecting her husband and being unchaste because of you, would you? Qingshan stood aside, secretly pleased. He thought to himself, if you push me too far, I'll go outside and spread rumors about your ambiguous relationship, ruining your reputation. Meanwhile, Qinyan watched their exaggerated performance with contempt. This Qingshan, his methods are still as despicable as ever, and his mind is just as stupid as before. Qinyan tapped her fingers on the table. The room instantly fell silent. Qinyan's face now showed a hint of anger. A mere maid dares to say, I neglect my husband and fail in my wifely duties. Qingshan, is this how you manage your servants? Qingshan was stunned. He suddenly felt something wasn't quite right. Then he saw the angry Qinyan slam the table and stand up. My relationship with the imperial advisor is that of ruler and subject. You, a little maid, dare to forget your place. You're truly audacious and disrespectful. At this moment, Lin Shurer realized she had made a grave mistake. She momentarily forgot that Qin Yin was no longer just a general, but now an empress with immense power. She hurriedly said she was talking nonsense. He Qingshan, seeing the situation turn bad, also quickly tried to cover for Lin Shurer. It's all my fault for not teaching her properly. Shurer spoke without thinking. Don't trouble her anymore. Don't we, as husband and wife, have many things to discuss? Qin Yin waved her hand, interrupting his words. Since the Ningxuan king knows he has failed in his duties, I'll give you a chance to make amends. Qin Yin looked towards Sun Zihuai. Imperial advisor, Lin Shurer has committed the crime of disrespecting her superiors. According to our great Yin laws, how should she be punished? Sun Zihuai immediately understood her intention. Your Majesty, according to the law, she should be given 50 lashes. Lin Shurer immediately knelt down and begged for mercy. If she really received 50 lashes, her life would be in danger. Qin Yin pointed at He Qingshan. You will personally carry out the punishment. He Qingshan's whole body was trembling at this point. Not only could he not protect his own power, but he also had to carry out the punishment himself. But he didn't dare to disobey Qin Yin's orders. He was now extremely frightened. He was now terrified. The woman was to be punished with 50 lashes for speaking wrongly. After a few lashes, the woman's buttocks were already torn and bloody. He Qingshan was shaking slightly in fear. He begged Qin Yin to spare Lin Shurer, saying that if they continued, she might not survive. But Qin Yin coldly said, continue. Lin Shurer desperately cried out, Your Majesty, save me. But He Qingshan had no way to save her. He could only continue with the lashing. Lin Shurer felt like her soul was about to leave her body. Unable to endure any longer, she finally fainted. At Qin Yin's instruction, Sun Zihuai walked up to the two. Lin Shurer has served the Ningxuan king for many years. Even if she has no merit, she has put in effort. Let me take care of her treatment. I will ensure she survives. He Qingshan glared fiercely at the two. He thought to himself that Lin Shurer's beating shouldn't be in vain. He wanted to take advantage of Sun Zihuai's absence to find out Qin Yin's true thoughts on the matter of succession. He poured a cup of hot tea for Qin Yin, then approached her with a sycophantic smile. He tentatively asked Qin Yin, Now that I've returned, why don't you let me share some of your government duties? Qin Yin pushed away He Qingshan's hand. I have never found handling state affairs to be tiring. If you think being an emperor is an exhausting job, it shows you're not fit to be a ruler. Hearing Qin Yin say this, He Qingshan completely lost his temper. He threw the teacup in his hand onto the table. We had an agreement. Once the world was at peace, you would hand over power to me. Are you going back on your word? Qin Yin continued to deceive him. It's not that I don't want to give you the throne. A few days ago, someone proposed this matter, but it was rejected by the officials. I have no choice now. Don't be impatient. When you gain the love and respect of the ministers later, I will personally hand over the throne to you. Even if He Qingshan was foolish, he could understand that Qin Yin was just making excuses. It was clear she didn't want to give up the throne. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. Yun Qin Yin has loved me since childhood. She must be treating me this way because we haven't seen each other for a long time. If I coax her well, she might become as obedient to me as before, completely submissive to me. He Qingshan also noticed that Xinya before him was no longer as rough as before, but seemed to have become quite charming. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say she was devastatingly beautiful. Thinking of this, He Qingshan swallowed. This action made even the system's little person shudder. It was extremely disgusting. He walked behind Qin Yin and said, Yinner, today let's not talk about the succession. Let's not hurt our marital relationship over this. After you finish with the memorials, I'll return to the imperial chambers with you. How about that? This woman is so busy. Her husband just wants to hold her hand. The next second, the husband's hand was broken by her. The man covered his broken hand and shouted, Yun, have you gone mad? Why are you doing this to me? Qin Yin's face now showed supreme authority. I've told you more than once that in this Qingjing Hall, we can only discuss state affairs. Yet you're here trying to take advantage of me, damaging our great Yan's morals. He Qingshan pretended to look innocent. What's wrong with being intimate with my own wife? Qin Yin casually pulled out a book of palace rules from the bookshelf. She looked down at He Qingshan. You want to be intimate with me? Do you, He Qingshan, have the status? Look carefully. If you want to be intimate with me, either find a way to become the officially recognized emperor consort and wait for me to summon you, or wait until I'm in the mood and naturally call for you. Otherwise, you have no right. Understand?" After saying this, Qin Yin threw the book in front of He Qingshan. He Qingshan was so angry, he gritted his teeth. "Wait for you to summon me and favor me? You're insulting me by treating me like a woman." Suddenly, He Qingshan shouted at Qin Yin, "Yun Qian dash. Yin, don't go too far. Don't be ungrateful." Qin Yin looked at him calmly as he raged. "It seems you don't accept my discipline. You're forcing me to use palace rules on you." Qin Ye called for her personal attendant waiting outside the door. "The Ningxuan king doesn't understand the rules of the palace. Confine him for me. Also, select a few palace matrons to send over. Teach him well about the rules of being an emperor consort." He Qingshan wanted to resist, but being powerless, he couldn't fight back at all. He was thus confined in his own chambers. Soon, the palace matrons arranged by Qin Ye arrived. "Well, Ningxuan king, things aren't like they used to be. You can't do as you please anymore. Have you learned how to pay respects to the empress? Quickly, perform a kneeling salute for us to see." He Qingshan had never suffered such humiliation before. "You bunch of old hags taking advantage of your position. You dare to make this king kneel to you? When I inherit the throne in the future, I'll definitely chop off your dog heads." The palace matrons were also angered. "Little brat, you still dare to be arrogant? As the saying goes, a fallen phoenix is not as good as a chicken. Today, you're unlucky to fall into our hands. Old Zhang, bring me my embroidery needle. I'll teach this boy what the harem storms are like today." At this time, Su Zihuai was standing outside listening to all this. He Qingshan, just keep making a fuss. The more people know about it, the better. He ordered the eunuchs to secretly spread this news. After hearing this, the civil and military officials all laughed mockingly, expressing that the Ningxuan king was immoral and unfit to be the empress's consort. They were planning to hold a selection ceremony for the empress to choose consorts. They even talked about continuing the tradition of having 3,000 concubines in the harem, as in previous dynasties. These old ministers wanted to select husbands for the current empress. To compete for the privilege of organizing the selection, two of them almost came to blows. One minister shouted with a red face, "Old Qin's family has a son who is handsome and of good character. I'll bring him right away for your majesty to consider." Another minister, not to be outdone, said, "Old Qin's nephew is skilled in horseback riding and military strategy. He has admired your majesty for a long time. I hope your majesty will consider him as well." Sun Zihuai was furious watching these people. Qin Yin was also growing impatient with the minister's behavior. She was about to reprimand them, but before she could speak, Sun Zihuai couldn't hold back anymore. "Ministers, aren't you ashamed of this commotion? Aren't you embarrassed?" The arguing ministers retorted, "We're doing this for Her Majesty. What's wrong with that?" Sun Zihuai looked displeased. "As pillars of the great Yin, you should be thinking about benefiting the people, not about how to fill Her Majesty's harem." The ministers' faces instantly turned red with embarrassment. At this point, Qin Yin waved her hand. "I have no intention of selecting consorts at the moment. This matter shall not be mentioned again. You are all dismissed." Seeing the empress's firm attitude, the ministers dared not say more. They had no choice but to withdraw. On the way out of court, Qin Yin noticed Sun Zihuai beside her. He looked unusually dejected. She asked with concern, "Doctor, you've been uneasy since leaving court. Is it because of those ministers' affairs?" Sun Zihuai quickly tried to hide his thoughts, saying it wasn't. Qin Yin continued to probe. "If it's not because of those ministers, then it must be about me." Having his thoughts guessed, Sun Zihuai had to admit, "Zihuai is indeed concerned about your majesty. I want to ask your majesty, will you select consorts in the future? I'm just asking casually. If your majesty doesn't want to answer, please ignore it." The iron-willed and straightforward Qin Yin directly stated she wouldn't select consorts. She said, "Those ministers want to plant spies around me. I won't give them that opportunity." Sun Zihuai showed a disappointed expression. "But doesn't your majesty want someone close to confide in? It would be good to have someone to talk to." The romantically oblivious Qin Yin continued walking. "I can tell the imperial advisor anything I need to say." Sun Zihuai looked sorrowful. "Your majesty has no interest in romance. When will you understand my feelings?" But then he thought, he was already Qin Yin's most trusted person. Thinking of this, he hurried to catch up. He was sure he could win her heart one day. This depraved man, he actually wanted to harm his own son. Just now, his personal maid had overheard some news. Imperial advisor Sun Zihuai is planning to take He Wunsai out of the palace for a trip soon. He Qingshan became excited upon hearing this news. His face turned extremely gloomy. If I take this chance to kill Sun Zihuai, Yun Qinyan will lose her strategist. Then I can use his biological child He Wunsai to threaten her. At that time, how dare she not hand over the throne? Lin Shu'er looked worried beside him. When they leave the palace, security will surely be increased. With our current strength, can we handle it? He Qingshan snorted coldly. A young child and a weak scholar. I don't take them seriously. The confidence I've planted among the court officials should be put to use now. As he spoke, he took out a jade pendant and handed it to Lin Shu'er. Take this jade pendant to Minister Li's residence. Tell him to use this token to find my old subordinates. Order them to kill Sun Zihuai and capture He Wunsai alive. Once this is done successfully, have them join me in immediately forcing the Empress to abdicate. Meanwhile, outside the city, Sun Zihuai and He Wunsai were preparing to depart. Qinyan was also giving her final instructions. In a corner, two suspicious individuals were watching them. One man whispered, "Quickly, go tell our brothers to set up an ambush on the road. They're about to leave the city." The scene changes. In Yi Qingshan's private chambers, several secret letters were laid out on the table. At Yin River, we sent 3 assassins, but unfortunately, all were killed by the enemy. At Wu Creek, we sent 5 men, but they were ambushed by cunning opponents and all were captured. Our identities may have been compromised. At Guan Mountain, we sent another team of 7, but they were unexpectedly poisoned and wiped out. He Qingshan slammed the table as he read the letters. These useless fools can't even handle one Sun Zihuai, let alone when he's with a child. Lin Shu'er looked anxiously at Yi Qingshan. They're about to return to the palace now. When Her Majesty finds out about this, we're finished. At this moment, Yi Qingshan's hands holding the secret letters were trembling. He had ordered his men to prepare for a final strike outside the city. If they failed, they would have to atone with their lives. He knew that if he failed again this time, his own death wouldn't be far off. He gritted his teeth and said, "We absolutely cannot let Sun Zihuai return to the palace alive." Just then, an urgent cry came from a eunuch outside the door. "King Yingshan, terrible news. The imperial tutor and the crown prince have met with misfortune outside the city. Her Majesty is extremely anxious. Please hurry to the Golden Hall to discuss this matter." Yi Qingshan was both shocked and delighted. Finally, it's done. He stood up excitedly. Those incompetents have finally done something useful. Sure, come with me. Let's go see how Qinyan handles things without Sun Zihuai. This despicable man, in his struggle for the throne, actually sent assassins to harm his own son. Upon learning that his subordinates had succeeded, Yi Qingshan wore a sinister smile. He mocked Qinyan, who sat on the throne. "Well, Yinner, now that the crown prince has been taken hostage, why haven't you ordered a search party? Why gather all these ministers here?" Qinyan coldly looked at Yi Qingshan. The crown prince encountering bandits outside the imperial city is no small matter. I need to discuss this with all my ministers. Hearing Qinyan say this, Yi Qingshan laughed even more uncontrollably. Without the imperial tutor here, can't you make decisions even on such small matters? A treacherous minister beside King Yingshan also chimed in agreement. Suddenly, a voice sounded from behind Yi Qingshan. "Who said Her Majesty summoned you here to search for someone?" Yi Qingshan's heart instantly thundered. It was Sun Zihuai's voice. At this moment, he felt his scalp tingling. Seeing Yi Qingshan stammer and unable to speak, Sun Zihuai laughed. "The crown prince and I did indeed encounter vicious bandits, but we returned safely, and I even obtained something. This is evidence of the mastermind behind the plot. I wonder if Minister Li finds this object familiar." Minister Li was instantly dumbfounded. He hurriedly claimed he didn't know what Sun Zihuai meant. Seeing that he still refused to repent, Sun Zihuai angrily said to Minister Li, "Do you know this is a crime punishable by death for 9 generations of your family?" Minister Li was now covered in cold sweat. He hesitated for a moment. Then he suddenly fell to his knees, repeatedly begging for mercy. "Your Majesty, please spare me. I had no choice. King Yingshan forced me to do all this. This is all King Yingshan's plot. He wanted to eliminate the imperial tutor, then use the crown prince's life to force your Majesty to abdicate." Yi Qingshan, who had been betrayed, immediately panicked. "You're spewing nonsense. Sire is my own son. How could I possibly do such a thing?" Qinyan watched as the two turned on each other. This was quite a spectacle indeed. At this moment, Minister Li had only one thought. If he could bring down He Qingshan today, perhaps the imperial tutor would remember his contribution. Maybe he still had a chance to survive. So he continued to expose He Qingshan's crimes. Seeing that he was being betrayed, He Qingshan also became desperate. He raised his foot and kicked the old man. "Shut your mouth. It's clearly you who wanted to rebel. Don't you dare slander me." Minister Li had never suffered such humiliation. "Since you, He Qingshan, are so heartless, don't blame me for being disloyal." As he spoke, he reached into his sleeve. "This jade pendant is the token King Yingshan gave to me. Your Majesty, do you recognize this personal item of King Yingshan? I also have letters from King Yingshan at my residence, detailing the various crimes He Qingshan has committed." The man had committed a crime punishable by death for 9 generations. In his panic, he exposed He Qingshan. He even produced He Qingshan's jade pendant as evidence. Sun Zihuai then sent people to search and found several of He Qingshan's treasonous letters, making He Qingshan's situation even worse. The court officials despised this beast who had harmed his own son. They upheld the glorious tradition of pushing a falling wall. So everyone requested that the Empress severely punish He Qingshan. This infuriated He Qingshan. "Back in the day, you were all my court officials. Now you treat me like this." Qin Yin shook her head slightly. "He Qingshan, you've disappointed me greatly. If I let you off lightly today, how will I warn others in the future?" At this point, He Qingshan also realized what was happening. Trembling, he said, "You deliberately exposed my affairs in court, making me lose face completely. That was your intention, wasn't it?" Suddenly, he turned and pointed at Qin Yin angrily. "For the sake of the throne, you disregarded our marital relationship. You set me up and framed me. Truly, a woman's heart is the most poisonous." Qin Yin stood up and angrily berated He Qingshan. "Shut your mouth. How dare you still act innocent? Years ago, when I was out fighting battles, you were hiding in the capital, indulging yourself. I overlooked your past faults and gave you this glory and wealth. But your treacherous heart never ceased. You even tried to harm the crown prince. That's your own son. For these crimes you've committed, killing you 100 times wouldn't be enough." As she spoke, Qin Yin smashed He Qingshan's jade pendant to pieces. He Qingshan was so frightened that he kept backing away. "Qin Yin, what are you going to do?" Qin Yin waved her hand. "King Yingshan has committed a grave error. His crime is unforgivable. Immediately confine him to the cold palace. He is never to step out for the rest of his life." He Qingshan became desperate. "Qin Yin, how dare you treat me like this? I am a dignified man. If you confine me to the cold palace, how will the historians record me?" Qin Yin looked at him and smiled. "That's simple. You'll naturally be the first deposed imperial consort in history. Didn't you always want to go down in history? Isn't this what you've been hoping for all along?" 2 perceptive guards had already restrained He Qingshan, ready to be sent to the cold palace at any time. But He Qingshan was still making a final struggle. Qin Yin, you humiliate me like this. Even as a ghost, I won't let you off." Qin Yin didn't want to hear his nonsense anymore. "Quickly take him away." Then He Qingshan was dragged away by the guards like a little chick. Qin Yin took the hand of Crown Prince He Winshan. "From today on, my children's surname will be changed to Yun. Does anyone have any objections?" The ministers all expressed that they had no objections. Who would dare to object? That would be insane. Angry curses from a man could be heard from the cold palace. A box of buns was thrown violently on the ground. Sniffing at the broken buns, even dogs wouldn't eat this. He Qingshan pointed at the old maid delivering food and roared, "Go get me some hot dishes and soup right now. Hurry up." The old maid looked at He Qingshan with disgust. "You still think you're the king of Lingshan? Being picky here. Food is only delivered once a day. If you don't want to eat, you can starve to death here." Lin Shurer cried as she picked up the buns from the ground. "My lord, are we really going to stay in this cold palace for the rest of our lives?" He Qingshan turned to look at Lin Shurer. "As long as I, He Qingshan, am still alive, there's still a chance to rise again. I will make that bitch Yin Qinyin regret what she did today." Just then, Yin Qinyin walked in. Unfortunately, He Qingshan no longer has a chance. He Qingshan was suddenly shocked because he saw that Qin Yin was carrying a knife in her hand. "Yin Qinyin, what are you trying to do?" Qin Yin looked at him and smiled. "This cold palace is miserable. The king of Lingshan is frail and weak. It's time for him to die of illness." He Qingshan was extremely scared now. "Yin Qinyin, have you gone mad? I'm still your original husband. Aren't you afraid of being labeled a father killer?" Qin Yin slowly approached the two. What a joke. Who would know about this? Qingshan only now realized that Qian Yin wasn't just scaring him, but truly intended to kill him. A chill ran through his heart. Suddenly, he pushed Lin Shurer to the ground. Then he ran desperately towards the exit, shouting, "Murder! Help!" Qian Yin raised her sword to block Qingshan's path. The next second, Qingshan was tripped and fell to the ground. Qian Yin looked at him coldly. "No one is on duty here tonight. Don't waste your energy." Wanting to save his life, Qingshan begged repeatedly. "I was wrong, Yin'er. For the sake of our years as husband and wife, spare my life. Otherwise," he pointed at Lin Shurer, "Yin'er, if you want to kill someone, kill that cheap maid. She's been instigating conflict between us. That's why I did things to wrong you." Lin Shurer was so angry she laughed. Then she rushed over and violently pushed Qingshan to the ground. "I've had enough of you. Qingshan, it's bad enough that you dragged me into the Cold Palace. Now you want to use me as a scapegoat? Keep dreaming. Your Majesty, don't be fooled by him. The rebellion was all his idea. Please spare this lowly maid." The once loving and affectionate couple, at the moment of life and death, both tried to save themselves. They started exposing each other in front of Qian Yin. Qian Yin sighed. "Since neither of you wants to die, I'll give you a chance." As she spoke, Qian Yin took out a small bottle. "There's a poison pill in here. You decide among yourselves who will take it. The one who survives, I will no longer pursue their crime of treason." This couple who once swore eternal love, now only one of them can live. Qian Yin threw the poison on the ground. "As for who will take this poison, you decide for yourselves." The man and woman both looked at the poison on the ground. They were silent for a second. Then they both lunged for the bottle of poison at the same time. Lin Shurer got hold of the bottle first, but Qingshan wasn't about to give up this chance to save his life. He grabbed Lin Shurer tightly, refusing to let go. He shouted at Lin Shurer, "You bitch, let go." Lin Shurer also fought back desperately. "Why should I let go? If anyone should die, it's you, the mastermind." But she was ultimately a weak woman. Qingshan slapped her hard, sending her flying. Lin Shurer ultimately couldn't keep hold of the bottle. Qingshan pinned her to the ground. Then, without mercy, he threw the poison into her mouth. No matter how desperately Lin Shurer screamed, Qingshan remained unmoved. Soon, Lin Shurer, who had taken the poison, died from its effects. She looked at Qingshan with resentment. "How did I end up with such a heartless person like you?" Qingshan showed a victorious smile, but he didn't notice that Qian Yin was already holding his sword behind him. Qingshan suddenly burst into wild laughter. "I can finally survive." Suddenly, a sword pierced through his body from behind. Qingshan looked at Qian Yin in disbelief. "Why did you go back on your word? You scoundrel." Qian Yin's face was now full of smiles. "I said I wouldn't pursue your crime of treason, but poisoning Lin Shurer is also a capital offense. Do you understand now?" Then, Qian Yin mercilessly pulled out her sword. Qingshan collapsed to the ground powerlessly. "Yun Qian Yin, I won't let you off even as a ghost." Qian Yin looked at the dying Qingshan and slowly said, "Before you die, let me tell you one more piece of good news. I've already changed the surnames of our 2 children. From now on, they will take my surname Yun. They have nothing to do with you anymore." Qian Yin crouched beside him, continuing to torment him. Qingshan, remember this. My great Yun Empire will always be the Yun family's domain. For thousands of years to come, it will have nothing to do with your He family. Qingshan felt a surge of anger and couldn't help but cough up a mouthful of blood. Finally, Qingshan died in anguish. Qian Yin slowly stood up. "So, you've seen it all. I've avenged you by killing this unfaithful man with my own hands. Let them taste all the suffering you experienced in your previous life." Qian Yin, walking out of the Cold Palace, saw Sun Zihuai. It turned out that Sun Zihuai, after discovering Qian Yin, went to the Cold Palace alone, felt uneasy, and came to find her. Qian Yin saw Sun Zihuai shivering from the cold. She quickly said, "Take care of your health. Yin still needs you." Hearing these words, Sun Zihuai was stunned. Then his face showed some sadness. "What about your Majesty? Does your Majesty need Zihuai?" Qian Yin turned her head slightly to look at him. "Of course I need you. In fact, I need you tonight." Sun Zihuai's face immediately turned red. He muttered, "She needs me tonight." Qian Yin didn't waste words. "Let's go. Come back to my chambers with me." Soon, the 2 of them returned to Qian Yin's chambers. Qian Yin ordered her personal maids to withdraw. She said that without her orders, they were not to enter. The palace maids immediately withdrew. Lin Zong thoughtfully closed the door, making Sun Zihuai feel very awkward. He stammered as he asked Qin Yin, "Does your majesty really want Zihuai to accompany you right now? Although Zihuai has long hoped for this day, isn't this behavior a bit improper?" Qin Yin turned her head and looked at Sun Zihuai with confusion. "What's improper about interpreting a medical book?" Sun Zihuai froze. "Discuss a medical book? Why did you ask all the maids to leave?" Qin Yin said expressionlessly, "For your medical book, so others won't overhear." Sun Zihuai quickly laughed foolishly. "Your Majesty thinks of everything." Then he immediately engaged in self-reflection, thinking his mind must have been possessed by something. Early the next morning, as the palace maids were dressing Qin Yin, they asked if she needed them to wake up the imperial advisor. At this time, the imperial advisor was sprawled on Qin Yin's bed, sound asleep. Qin Yin said not to wake the imperial advisor. Let him rest well. At this moment, the crown prince rushed in anxiously. "Mother Empress, something terrible has happened. Last night, Father Emperor and that maid died suddenly in the cold palace. He just entered the cold palace and died like this. I'm worried people will make malicious speculations." Mother Empress Qin Yin's expression was calm. "Those two committed many evil deeds. Their sudden death will only be seen as divine punishment. As the crown prince, you shouldn't rush in for such small matters in the future. Understand?" The little crown prince quickly said he understood. Suddenly, he looked towards the bed in the room. "Mother Empress, why is Master in your chambers?" The little crown prince came to find his Empress mother early in the morning, only to discover his master lying on his mother's bed. The boy looked at his mother in shock. "Master, how is he in your—" Qin Yin acted as if it was perfectly normal. "The imperial advisor stayed in my chambers last night." The little crown prince's eyes widened. "What am I hearing? A man and woman alone in a room." Qin Yin looked at the sleepy-eyed Sun approaching and sighed. "You were exhausted last night. You don't need to attend court today. Seeing how weak you are, I've already asked someone to prepare some tonic for you. Go back and take good care of yourself." Sun Zihuai's face immediately turned red. "Your Majesty, please don't say that. Zihuai's energy is still very abundant." Then Qin Yin turned to look at the little crown prince. "Sire, in the future you must exercise well. Don't be like the imperial advisor who can't withstand exertion." The little crown prince said, "I understand," but his mind was in complete chaos. "Exhausted last night. Take care of the body. Can't withstand exertion." The little crown prince curiously approached Sun Zihuai. "Master, last night you and Mother Empress here?" He wondered if his master would become his father. Sun Zihuai yawned repeatedly as he answered, "The Empress and I were up all night." The little crown prince asked expectantly, And then, the Empress and I studied a page of a medical book." The little crown prince's face immediately fell. He thought to himself, "Master looks so melancholic. He must have developed romantic feelings for Mother Empress. I hope Mother Empress will realize it soon." In the blink of an eye, 6 years had passed. The young crown prince was about to turn 15 years old, so Qin Yin decided to pass the throne to the crown prince. When he was truly capable of ruling independently, it would be time for her to leave this world. The crown prince looked at Qin Yin, hesitated for a moment, then still asked, "Master has been in love with Mother Empress for years. He even refused to marry because of this. I want to ask Mother Empress, what are your feelings towards Master? If you no longer have official duties in the future, would you be willing to marry Master?" Qin Yin interrupted the crown prince. "I have long decided not to marry again in this life. Go prepare for your succession. This matter is not to be mentioned again." Seeing Qin Yin's determination, the crown prince could only reluctantly retreat. Sun Zihuai, hiding nearby, sighed. He thought that by always staying by Qin Yin's side, he would eventually touch her heart. But he never expected it was all his own wishful thinking. Suddenly, Qin Yin appeared behind Sun Zihuai. "Imperial advisor, please stay. I have something to discuss with you." Qin Yin got straight to the point. "How much of my conversation with the crown prince did you hear?" Sun Zihuai's face was full of sorrow. "I heard everything your majesty said. I wonder if your majesty's words to the crown prince were sincere." Suddenly, Sun Zihuai looked at Qin Yin with determination. "I have admired your majesty for a long time. Zihuai is willing to enter the harem for you. I don't need any title." But Qin Yin rejected him, because she knew her time in this world was already limited. A few days later, the crown prince inherited the throne and successfully ascended. Not long after, Qin Yin suddenly passed away due to illness. Upon hearing this news, Sun Zihuai was in tears. Sister said she was just passing through this world. She really didn't lie to me. But Zihuai has followed sister for half a lifetime. This time I will follow you too. Chinya, who had just transmigrated to the next world, choked on some water. She realized she must have fallen into water, so she immediately held her breath. She was here to help this body fulfill its wish. If she drowned just like this, it would be a mission failure. Chinyan asked the system why she was in water. The system immediately explained the situation to Chinyan. The time Chinyan transmigrated to was the moment when the original owner was about to drown, because her brother chose to save the White Lotus instead of her. The original owner gave up on survival in anger just to make her brother regret it. The original owner paid the price with her life. At this moment, the original owner's brother was calling from the shore. Yin Yin, where are you? Don't scare your brother. Chinyan decided to get to shore first. After all, she really couldn't hold her breath much longer. The next second, Chinya emerged from the water. Seeing that Chinya was all right, Gu Jinkei was both delighted and relieved. You almost scared your brother to death. It's all brother's fault. This won't happen again. Chinya thought to herself. This man seems to care a lot about the original owner. Why was she so disappointed in him? The next second, Chinyan understood. She saw the White Lotus approach the two of them, gently calling out Brother Gu, and Gu Jinkei immediately abandoned Chinyan, rushing towards the White Lotus like a puppy. The White Lotus, Lan Yajin, put on a pitiful face. Chanyan, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you. I didn't expect Brother Gu would come to save me first. Gu Jinkei looked at Lan Yajin and immediately felt sympathetic. Yajin, don't blame yourself. Yin Yin is a good swimmer. It wouldn't have mattered if I rescued her a bit later. Qin Yin was furious at this scene. It seemed her brother wasn't going to address her falling into the water. Of course, Gu Jinkei wouldn't admit he thought this way, but he didn't want to embarrass Lan Yajin either. So he found a scapegoat. If we must blame someone, let's blame the person who pushed you both in. The accused woman was initially panicked, but she quickly regained her composure. I just saw her hovering around Brother Gu and found it annoying. I only wanted to teach her a lesson. She lost her balance and pulled Xinya in with her. Someone who voluntarily comes to ride on a yacht must know how to swim. I think she's just pretending. Besides, Lan Yajin, dare you say why I pushed you? Lan Yajin then remembered what she had said earlier in her moment of pride. For a moment, she was at a loss for words. Then she looked at Qin Yin behind her, her eyes lighting up. Qin Yin probably only heard the latter part of our conversation. Why don't we let her speak? Qin Yin, who had just transmigrated, immediately encountered the White Lotus's trap. The woman first pulled Qin Yin into the water, nearly drowning her. Now she wanted to use Qin Yin as a shield for herself. Originally, Lan Yajin had deliberately provoked the woman, which led to her being pushed into the sea. In her panic, she had pulled Qin Yin down with her. Now, realizing she was at fault, she claimed to have lost her memory due to the shock of falling into the water. At the same time, she shifted the blame to Qin Yin, asking if she had heard their earlier conversation. Qin Yin indeed hadn't heard clearly why the two were arguing. But how could she not see through the White Lotus's petty scheme? How dare she try to play tricks right in front of her? She walked up to Lan Yajin. I was pulled into the water as soon as I approached. How could I have heard what you were saying? But I remember before she pushed you, your expression looked quite smug. The other woman immediately rushed over and revealed the conversation at that time. It turned out Lan Yajin had been causing trouble all along. She knew the woman liked Gu Jinkei, yet deliberately boasted in front of her that Gu Jinkei was her loyal puppy and backup plan. This led to the woman angrily pushing her into the sea. Qin Yin feigned surprise as she looked at Lan Yajin. You always accept gifts from my brother and ask him for favors. I thought you two had mutual feelings. I didn't expect you were just using my brother as an ATM. The people around them immediately started murmuring. Looking at the seemingly fragile Lan Yajin, they realized she was this kind of person. It's true that you can't judge a book by its cover. They had thought she was the victim. Unexpectedly, she turned out to be a scheming woman. Lan Yajin immediately panicked. It's not like that. Don't say such things. She immediately put on a pitiful face and looked towards her loyal follower Gu Jinkei, calling out Brother Gu in a sickening tone. At this moment, Gu Jinkei was very hurt, but he still couldn't believe it was true. Yajin, is what Yin Yin said true? I don't believe it. I want to hear it from you directly. It was then that Lan Yajin realized Gu Jinkei didn't seem to believe what his sister said. Since he cared about her so much, it would be easy for her to win him back. As long as she took this opportunity to ruin the relationship relationship between Qin Yin and Gu Jinkei in the future, it would be easy to manipulate Gu Jinkei as she pleased. Thinking of this, Lan Yajin threw herself into Gu Jinkei's arms. She cried her heart out. Brother Gu, I know Qin Yin wants me to leave, so she's slandering me with others. I don't blame her for that. But Brother Gu, you must believe me. Deceived by Lan Yajin, the misguided Gu Jinkei looked at Qin Yin angrily. As a child of the Gu family, how can you do such a thing as slandering others? Disgracing our family name. Apologize to Yajin immediately. Qinya, who had just transmigrated to a new world, encountered the scheming of a white lotus. Lanya truly tried to drag Qinya underwater and almost drowned her. Now he's saying Qinya slandered him and wants Qinya to apologize. He pushes Gu Jinkei away with a hurt expression. Your sister always targets me like this. I won't dare to see you again in the future. I should just leave. The pig-brained Gu Jinkei immediately panics. Yajin, what do you want me to do for you to stay by my side? Lan Yajin says pitifully, as long as your sister apologizes to me, I actually won't hold anything against her. He wants Gu Jinkei to publicly reprimand Qinya for him. That way, he can showcase his Lan Yajin's status. This puts Gu Jinkei in a dilemma, weighing between his sister and the White Lotus. Then in the next second, he makes his decision. Alright, I'll make Qinyan apologize. He righteously rushes to Qinyan's side. As a child of the Gu family, how can you slander others and tarnish our family name? Now, go apologize to Yajin immediately. Qinyan is amused by her pig-brained brother. The matter of him dragging me into the water hasn't been investigated yet. On what grounds are you certain that I slandered him? Don't use the Gu family to pressure me. You think this can hide the fact that you're blinded by love? Gu Jinkei's face darkens. How can you speak to your own brother like this? Qinyan is truly angry this time. Oh, so you still remember I'm your sister? The next moment, her face is filled with rage. When I fell into the sea, you chose to save Lan Yajin first. Why didn't you think about me being your sister then? I almost lost my life. Why didn't you think about me being your sister then? Gu Jinkei is now red-faced, but in his guilt, he finds himself speechless. Now, to make me apologize to this bitch, you're pulling the brother card on me again. How easily you play the role of a brother. Gu Jinkei is now filled with shame. Yin Yin is his only family, and she just nearly lost her life. He realizes he has indeed treated her too poorly. Lan Yajin suddenly realizes the situation is not in his favor. Brother Gu, are you not going to make her apologize to me? Do you want me to leave? Qinyan pulls Gu Jinkei behind her. Don't worry, Lan Yajin wouldn't dare to leave. You, this rich but foolish big backup. I've long seen through his little trick of retreating to advance. Qinyan stares intently into Lan Yajin's eyes. I'm really curious. If I don't apologize today, how are you going to end this? Qinya, who had just transmigrated, encountered the White Lotus's scheme. The White Lotus first dragged Qinya into the water, almost drowning her. Now he's demanding Qinya apologize to him, or else he'll leave Qinya's brother. Qinya pulls Gu Jinkei behind her. Don't worry, Lan Yajin wouldn't dare to leave you. This rich but foolish big backup. I've long seen through his little trick of retreating to advance. Every time we siblings have a conflict, it's because of you. And every time you pretend to feel guilty, saying you'll keep your distance from my brother. But aren't you still by his side every day? Now you're even instigating him to force his own sister to apologize to you. I'm really curious. If I don't apologize today, how are you going to end this? Exposed, Lan Yajin becomes furious with embarrassment. In the past, I was magnanimous and didn't want to argue with you. I also didn't want to put Brother Gu in a difficult position. This time, if you don't apologize, I will definitely do as I say. Qinyan immediately applauds him. Very well, then I'll tell you today. I absolutely won't apologize to you. When the ship docks, you can leave my brother. Everyone on the ship, please be my witness. Once Lan Yajin gets off the ship, he will never appear in front of my brother again. The people around respond in unison. We'll all keep an eye on him for you. Lan Yajin, stop dawdling. Are you leaving or not? Give me a straight answer. Every time you're here, things get chaotic. Lan Yajin was truly in a dilemma at this moment. She thought to herself, when did Qinya become so eloquent? If I leave this time, I might really not have a chance to come back. I've finally managed to mingle in this high society circle. She didn't want to be kicked out just like that. Lan Yajin's next move surprised everyone. She put on a fawning, cheap smile towards Qinyan. I'm sorry, Chunyan. I was just so scared of almost losing my life that I overreacted. I won't dare to do it again. Please be magnanimous and don't hold it against me. At this moment, the original soul in another world also witnessed this scene. I never thought I'd see Lan Yajin being so disgraceful with my own eyes. It's truly satisfying. Gu Jinke then shielded the pitiful-looking Lan Yajin. Yenner, Yajin has already apologized. Don't be so harsh. But Qinyan had already lost interest in this defeated opponent. She turned towards the cabin. If you feel sorry for her, go comfort her yourself. Qinyan suddenly sneezed, possibly due to catching a chill. She thought to herself that this body's constitution wasn't very good. Just then, a man's voice sounded behind her. You've caught a chill. You need to take medicine quickly. Qinyan turned to look at this stranger and asked, Who are you? The man was also carefully observing Qinya. Hello, I'm Lin Shanghuan. This doctor seemed a bit odd. As an orthopedic doctor, he actually carried cold medicine with him. This immediately made Qinya wary. Which legitimate doctor would carry cold medicine around? The man told Qinya not to be nervous. He wasn't trying to harass her. As a doctor, he just wanted to offer her some medicine. Seeing the warmth on the man's face, Qinya was stunned. For some reason, this man reminded her of someone. There was once a man who cared for her deeply like this. That was the little divine Dr. Sun Zihuai from the previous world. Faced with the man's kindness, Qinyan didn't refuse. She reached out to take the box of medicine. Their hands touched in midair. The next second, this grown man's face turned red. He was startled. It was just a touch of hands. Why is my heart beating so fast? It should be noted that he was known as an orthopedic expert who had touched countless bones. Qinya smiled and thanked the man. The system's little sphere was curious. Who did its host think of when she saw the man? The man quickly tried to hide his embarrassment at blushing. He told the girl to take the medicine on time, then turned and fled the scene. Qinyan looked at Lin Shangwan's back and muttered, I must be overthinking. It can't be that man. It can't possibly be that man. The next day, due to the incident of falling into the water, everyone ended the trip early. In just a few days, there had been incidents of falling into water and calling the police. They all complained. They had completely lost interest. If Lan Yajin was going to be there next time, they wouldn't come again. Gu Jinkue followed behind Lan Yajin, pulling his suitcase. Yajin, don't mind what those people say. I'll take you out again next time. Now let me take you home first. Lan Yajin looked very pitiful. I better not trouble Brother Gu. Otherwise, Qinyan will get angry again. I know Qinyan is a delicate young lady. A poor girl like me isn't good enough for her. Anyway, no one protects me. I'll just be humiliated again next time. Hearing this, Gu Jinkue's face was full of apology. He took Yajin's hand. Yajin, don't think like that. Brother Gu knows you've been wronged. But don't worry, next time I will definitely. At this moment, Qinyan suddenly appeared behind the two. Next time, brother, what will you definitely do? Gu Jinkue was startled. He hurriedly explained that he meant to say next time he wouldn't let misunderstandings arise between the two of them. At the same time, he pleaded inwardly with this little ancestor not to antagonize people anymore. Seeing Chinya's angry face, Gu Jinkue broke out in a cold sweat. I'm sorry, Yenner. I've been neglecting you lately. Brother promises to spend more time with you in the future. You'll always be brother's little princess. Chinya asked the system, do you believe what Yuanxiu said? Yuanxiu analyzed seriously. Men's words are lies. Qinyan told Gu Jinkue to stop beating around the bush and say what he wanted to say. It turned out Gu Jinkue wanted to send Yajin home, but he was afraid Qinyan wouldn't agree. You know, look how weak and innocent Yajin is. Now that she's sick, it's not safe for her to go home alone. I'll send her home. You don't mind, do you? This white lotus was so capable. One second she said she was sick. The next second she started coughing hard. Then she looked at Gu Jinkue with a pitiful expression. Actually, I'll be fine on my own. I just don't want to worry Brother Gu. Qinyan was truly defeated by these two people. One dared to say it, and the other dared to act it out. Anyway, this love-brain Gu Jinkue was already beyond saving, so she might as well make some requests. Qinya turned back and said, I can let you send Lan Yajin home, but I have a condition. You need to let me intern at Bushi Group as soon as possible. Gu Jinkue was stunned. No way. You're still in high school. How can you neglect your studies? Qinyan had already prepared her argument. With my grades, I can definitely get recommended for admission. I'll take a break from classes then and focus on learning to manage the company. I'm doing this to share your burden, brother. If you don't agree, that's fine. Then, just let Lan Yajin take a taxi home. Gu Jinkui pretended to be serious. Since it won't affect your studies, then go ahead. He thought to himself, as long as you're not doing it for Lan Yajin, I can agree to anything. Then he turned to Lan Yajin, get in the car. Yajin, I can take you home now. Lan Yajin was secretly delighted. Thanks to her scene yesterday, Qinyan was being so agreeable today. Unexpectedly at this moment, Qinyan directly and mercilessly closed the car door. The two of them stood awkwardly outside the car. The tricked Lan Yajin shouted at Qinyan, "What are you doing?" Gu Jinkei was even angrier. "Didn't you just agree to let me take Yajin home? I agreed to your condition. How can you go back on your word?" Qinyan was very calm. "I only said to let you take Yajin home. I never said I would ride in the same car with you." Then she gave them an innocent smile. "This way, don't you have a chance to be alone together? I'm doing this for your own good, brother." Hearing this, Gu Jinkui suddenly wasn't angry anymore. "You know you're helping me? It's so great to have your support." But Lan Yajin didn't dare to face Qinyan. "What kind of joke are you making? It's over 10 kilometers from here to the taxi stand, and the sun is so hot." Qinyan stared at the girl's eyes. "What? You don't want to spend more time with my brother? You just want to enjoy the comfort?" Having her inner thoughts exposed, Lan Yajin hurriedly explained, "It's not like that. We still have a lot of luggage to carry." Qinyan had a mischievous smile on her face. "Although you're not a couple yet, my brother has long wanted to show you his boyfriend power." Then she instructed the driver to start the car. These words really touched Gu Jinkui's heart. "It's okay, Yajin. Leave everything to me. No problem. We can walk slowly." Lan Yajin was almost angered to death. The system didn't understand why Qinyan wanted to intern at the company. She didn't answer the system's question, although the original owner didn't make this wish. The group was the Gu family's parents' life's work. It would be too much of a waste to let Gu Jinkui squander it all. Moreover, according to her memories, in a short while, the Gu group would be in trouble. This boy who carried 2 dolls around every day to trick young girls was called Kong Yu. That day, he saw another pretty girl at the school gate, so he immediately went up to chat her up. The one being approached was Qinyan. At this time, she had just finished the procedures for early admission to university at the school. Qinyan looked the boy up and down. Then she coldly said, "Don't block my way." Hong Yu quickly chased after her. "Beautiful lady, don't be in such a hurry to leave." At this moment, a hand grabbed him. "Hong Yu, you're getting more and more out of line. How dare you harass girls on the street?" Quickly apologized to her. Hong Yu recognized the person and immediately broke out in a cold sweat. "Cousin, why are you here?" "You misunderstood. Cousin, I was just trying to chat her up." "If you don't believe me, ask that girl." Qinyan and the man's eyes met. They said simultaneously, "It's you." Hong Yu immediately looked happy. "Oh, so you two know each other?" As expected of my brother Huai, the top orthopedic specialist knows so many people. "For my brother's sake, beautiful lady, why don't you give me your contact information?" Qinyan, on the other hand, was more interested in this orthopedic specialist, because she knew that her brother Gu Jinkui's leg was about to break. Perhaps this orthopedic specialist could help. Thinking of this, she took out her phone. Hong Yu thought she was going to give him her contact information. Unexpectedly, the girl walked up to his cousin, wanting to make friends with him, and his cousin also had a look of eager anticipation on his face. Hong Yu's composure completely crumbled. Am I being ignored? In the blink of an eye, it was already a month later. During this month, Qinyan had gone through all the business documents of the Gu Group. She was now thoroughly familiar with the company's situation. Compared to the empire Qinyan managed, this small company was nothing. Today was an important day for Gu Group. The powerful Baixin Group was coming to invest in their products. If they could develop steadily like this, the company would be able to generate over 100 million in revenue this year. Gu Jinkui's face was beaming with joy, because Qinyan had taken on a large part of his work, allowing him more time to spend with Lan Yajin. Just then, Lan Yajin's phone call came in. Gu Jinkui thought it was perfect timing. He wanted to invite her to have dinner with him tonight, but he heard an anxious voice on the other end of the phone. "Brother Gu, can you accompany me to find Xiangjing? He hasn't come to school for several days." Hearing these words, Gu Jinkui's face changed. "How are you still in contact with Xiangjing?" Yu and Xiao immediately jumped out to explain the situation to Qinyan. It turned out that Lan Yajin had always had a secret crush on Xiangjing. In other words, the goddess Gu Jinkui held in the palm of his hand was actually someone else's admirer. Gu Jinkui immediately became angry. Yajin, you called me just for that bastard? How shameless this woman was. She actually asked Gu Jinkui to accompany her to find the man she liked. As the eternal backup plan, Gu Jinkui couldn't help but get angry. You called me just for that bastard? Lan Yajin only then realized that if Gu Jinkui got jealous, he might not help her find the person. So she immediately said in a voice full of grievance, "You're yelling at me? I've just left something at his house. If you don't want to accompany me, then I'll have to go meet him alone." After hearing this, Gu Jinkui's face was full of anxiety. "I'm sorry, Yajin. I really didn't know that's what you meant. Don't cry. Brother Gu will come over right away to accompany you." At this point, Qin Yin reminded Gu Jinkui that the company's important meeting was about to begin. "Are you going to give up this big deal?" By now, Gu Jinkui couldn't care about so much. "Then reschedule it. Nothing is more important than my Yajin." The representative from Baishin Group, who had just entered the door, happened to hear this sentence. "Mr. Gu, where are you going? Are you not planning to negotiate with us?" Gu Jinkui acted like a madman. "I'm sorry, Mr. Chun. I have an urgent matter to attend to. I'll personally come to apologize next time." Mr. Chun was completely furious. "Gu Jinkui, is this how you do business?" The assistant could only try to calm Mr. Chun down. "Our company really values this cooperation. Why don't you talk to me first, Mr. Chun?" Mr. Chun was almost angered to death. "Who negotiates business with an assistant? Since you're so insincere, there's no need to talk anymore." At this moment, Qin Yin called out to Mr. Chun, who was about to leave. "Mr. Chun, please wait. This cooperation is important for both of us. If you leave like this, it might be difficult to explain to your superiors. I'm Gu Jinkui's younger sister, and also one of the owners of Gu Group. Let me apologize on behalf of my brother first. If you don't mind, you can talk to me. I know all the details of the cooperation." Mr. Chen looked at Qin Yin in surprise. The girl in front of him, though young, was exceptionally composed. As Qin Yin said, it would indeed be difficult for him to explain if he left like this. Since she was also an owner, he decided to give it a try. At this moment, Qin Yin made up her mind. "Since you, Gu Jinkui, disregard the big picture and insist on leaving, don't blame me for taking this opportunity to win people over and seize your power." Meanwhile, Gu Jinkui found Lan Yajin at the bottom of Zheng's building. Lan Yajin looked at this devoted follower with joy. "Brother Gu, I thought you weren't going to talk to me anymore." Gu Jinkui looked at her with deep affection. "How could that be? But after getting the book back this time, can you stop looking for Xiangjing?" Feeling guilty, Lan Yajin quickly changed the subject. "Brother Gu, let's just see if Xiangjing is here first." Gu Jinkui knocked on the door. At that moment, the door was opened from the inside, but the ones who opened it were two burly men. They looked at Lan Yajin with a wicked smile. "Oh, a little beauty has come back. Haha, this Baldy is quite the pervert." Originally, they came to collect debts from Xiangjing, but when they saw Lan Yajin, who had delivered herself to their doorstep, their eyes immediately lit up. "You care so much about Xiangjing, you must be his girlfriend. This chick is quite a looker. Since we can't catch Xiangjing, why don't we grab his girlfriend to pay off his debt?" Lan Yajin quickly hid behind Gu Jinkui. "What are you going to do?" "Brother Gu, save me." How could Gu Jinkui let Lan Yajin be bullied? He stretched out his arm to block the two men. "With me here, Yajin, don't be afraid. I'll protect you." But the two thugs revealed ferocious smiles. The next second, they had already rushed towards Lan Yajin. "Kid, get out of the way quickly." However, not only did Gu Jinkui not make way, he also fought back. The beaten thug leader became enraged. He raised his foot and kicked Gu Jinkui. Gu Jinkui, who was powerless, was directly kicked away. He rolled down the stairs all the way to the bottom, breaking his leg. In the end, Gu Jinkui, covered in injuries, passed out. Lan Yajin beside him was completely frightened. Meanwhile, at the Gu Group headquarters, Qin Yin and Mr. Chun had already signed the contract. This negotiation went very smoothly. The people in the company also admired Qin Yin very much. If it weren't for Qin Yin this time, they might have lost this big deal. At this moment, Lan Yajin's call came in. "Qin Yin, come to the hospital quickly. Something terrible has happened to your brother." Upon hearing this news, Qin Yin immediately rushed to the hospital. At the hospital, Lan Yajin and another man were sitting outside the operating room. Seeing Qin Yin, she felt a wave of panic. She was afraid Qin Yin would blame her. Qin Yin, however, looked at her calmly. "How's my brother?" Lan Yajin, trembling all over, burst into tears. Brother Gu just finished surgery. The doctor is still examining him. Then, she covered her face as if heartbroken. I'm so sorry. I really didn't know this would happen. Qinyan coldly looked at the drama queen in front of her. Cut the act. You think crying a bit will make me not hold you responsible? Do you think I won't hold you accountable? At this moment, Xiangjing stood up. Your brother voluntarily stood in front of Yajin. Now that he's been beaten, who can we blame? As he spoke, he pulled Lan Yajin up. It's really that. If there's nothing else, we'll be leaving first. Qinyan laughed. So this is the coward Lan Yajin really likes. Xiangjing, who was called a coward, said, You, say that to me one more time. Qinyan immediately fulfilled his unreasonable request. You are a coward. You only know how to hide when you owe debts. As soon as you hear, I want to hold you responsible, you immediately want to run. Is there anyone more cowardly than you? Xiangjing, who was originally a delinquent, couldn't bear being insulted like this by a young girl. Gu Qinyan, I think you're asking for a beating. Saying this, he raised his hand and charged towards Qinyan. The man's hand swung fiercely towards Qinyan's face. But Qinyan simply raised her hand and blocked the man's attack. The next second, Xiangjing was already knocked to the ground. Qinyan mercilessly stepped on his leg. Xiangjing howled in pain. Lan Yajin was stunned. She had thought Xiangjing would teach Qinyan a lesson, helping her vent her anger. She didn't expect Qinyan to be so fierce. Xiangjing, on the other hand, had a look of disbelief. How could Gu Qinyan have such strength? Qinyan looked down at the two on the ground. Xiangjing, do you still want to fight? At this moment, Xiangjing was extremely scared inside, but he said, a real man doesn't fight with women. I won't bother with you for now. Hearing this, Qinyan laughed happily. Is this how you comfort yourself every time you lose to someone? Xiangjing was gritting his teeth in anger. Lan Yajin, seeing her crush being bullied, also got angry at Qinyan. Don't go too far. Xiangjing was just careless for a moment. That's why you could sneak attack him. He even beat up those two debt collectors. He's much stronger than you. Xiangjing is now your brother's savior. You'd better be polite to him. Otherwise, if this gets out, people will say your Gu family is ungrateful. Qinyan was truly defeated by this person's shamelessness. She actually twisted the concept like this. She stared into Lan Yajin's eyes and shouted, if Xiangjing hadn't provoked those debt collectors, would my brother have been hurt? Who's really the culprit here? Lan Yajin had never seen Qinyan like this before. She was stunned. And you, Lan Yajin, my brother fell down the stairs to save you. Now he's still unconscious, and you're here blaming his sister? You even want to smear my Gu family's name? Lan Yajin, tell me, who's really the ungrateful one here? But Lan Yajin didn't think she had done anything wrong. Gu Qinyan, don't talk nonsense. I'll always remember Brother Gu's kindness to me. I'll repay him double in the future. Qinyan then took out a payment slip from her bag. I think you should repay him now. Go pay my brother's medical bill of over 10,000 yuan. It's not much. Lan Yajin looked at Qinyan very awkwardly. You're deliberately making things difficult for me. You know my family doesn't have money. Then Qinyan gave her a good suggestion. You can ask Xiangjing to help you share the cost. After all, you two are so close. He must be willing to help you. Xiangjing was startled. Lan Yajin wanted to open her mouth to ask Xiangjing. The next second, she was pushed away hard by Xiangjing, who stated that this had nothing to do with him. Lan Yajin was completely dumbfounded this time. Xiangjing, what do you mean? The woman who was lovey-dovey with the man just a moment ago. The next second, he was violently pushed out by the man. He pointed at Lan Yajin fiercely. You brought Gu Jinkui to my house. You're fully responsible for what happened to him. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend. Why should I pay for you? Lan Yajin was completely stunned. Xiangjin, what do you mean? Everything I did was for you. However, Xiangjin wasn't grateful at all. He believed it was all Lan Yajin's voluntary actions. There's no way he would pay, because he had no money to begin with. After saying this, Xiangjin turned and left. At this moment, the doctor came out. He looked at Qinyan and sighed. Your brother's right leg doesn't look good. He might become disabled. In the ward, the unconscious Gu Jinkui's right leg was bundled up like a zongzi. Qinyan knew that the original owner's wish was to prevent Gu Jinkui from becoming disabled. So she took out her phone and dialed Lin Shanghuai's number. Upon learning of the situation, Lin Shanghuai immediately helped Qinyan arrange a hospital transfer. 3 days later, Gu Jinkui finally woke up. The surgery on his leg was successful. At this time, the board of directors of Gu Group sent representatives to visit Gu Jinkui. Several people walked into the ward with concerned faces. Suddenly, Lan Yajin appeared behind them and rudely squeezed through the group. She called out, "Brother Gu, I've come to see you." This made the board members feel awkward, wondering where this impolite idiot came from. Qinyan looked at Lan Yajin and smiled. "I knew she would come." Lan Yajin hugged Gu Jinkue's arm and shook it. "Brother Gu, I finally found you. These past few days, I've been so worried about you that I couldn't even eat." Hearing this, Gu Jinkue was so happy he almost did a backflip. "Yajin, you finally came to see me. You weren't hurt last time, were you?" Lan Yajin immediately pretended to look aggrieved and began her performance. "Brother Gu, I actually wanted to come see you earlier, but Qianyan..." At this point, she deliberately paused. "Never mind, it's nothing." Usually when a green tea says it's nothing, it means she's about to complain. Gu Jinkue thought Qianyan must have bullied Lan Yajin. His face immediately filled with anger. "Yajin, don't be afraid. What did Qianyan do to you? Just tell me." Lan Yajin looked back at Qianyan. "If I say it, please don't blame her. After all, I'm the one who caused you to get hurt. She just asked me for medical expenses and secretly transferred you to another hospital without telling me." So Gu Jinkue immediately turned his anger towards Qianyan. "Gu Qianyan, how can you blame Yajin for this? How could you bully her like this, you bad woman?" The first thing Lan Yajin did upon finding Gu Jinkue was to complain about Qianyan. After complaining, she looked at Qianyan smugly. "Since you try to drive a wedge between me and Xiangjin, I'll make sure your sibling relationship is in chaos too." Qianyan was so amused by this stupid behavior that she laughed. "Lan Yajin, you don't need to be sarcastic about me targeting you behind your back. When I, Gu Qianyan, want to deal with someone, I always do it openly. Watch closely." Saying this, Qianyan dialed a number. "Call 2 bodyguards in here. Throw Lan Yajin out." Lan Yajin was stunned. How dare Qianyan do this to her in front of Gu Jinkue? 2 bald bodyguards pushed open the door and entered. "Miss Lan, please come with us." Lan Yajin was so scared she started crying. She tightly held on to Gu Jinkue's hand. "Brother Gu, I'm scared." Gu Jinkue was also panicking. "What are you doing?" "Qianya, tell them to stop." Ever since experiencing the bald head drought a few days ago, now when they see bald people, their legs go weak. However, the bodyguards very dutifully dragged Lan Yajin out. Qianyan ignored their shouting, not paying any attention. Gu Jinkue was really anxious. He actually tried to get out of bed to chase after her, ignoring his leg injury. Everyone immediately stopped him, saying he shouldn't get out of bed. Running out like this would definitely leave him with lasting damage. Qianyan was truly angry now. "If you don't want your right leg, then go chase after her. Let's see if Lan Yajin still wants you when you become a cripple." Hearing these words, Gu Jinkue was stunned. It seemed to make some sense. Then he shouted at Qianyan, "Gu Qianyan, I'm warning you. If you dare do anything to Yajin, you're no longer my sister." Qianyan shrugged. "Don't worry. She's just staying in the hallway. The board members came to visit you, and they might need to discuss company matters. I'm just asking outsiders to leave." Gu Jinkue knew Qianyan was just using the board as an excuse. He looked displeased. "What is there to discuss? You can see I'm fine now. We can talk about work when I'm back at the company. You all hurry up and leave. Bring Yajin back in." The board members were truly angry now. They were all shareholders of the company and had come to visit him out of goodwill. How could Gu Jinkue be so rude? "Mr. Gu, what kind of attitude is this?" Qianyan, watching Gu Jinkue's behavior, smiled. This Gu Jinkue would do anything for Lan Yajin. Since that's the case, he can't blame her for being ruthless now. "Brother, how can you act like this? The board members have been with Mom and Dad for years. How can you chase them out like this? In your heart, is the entire Gu group not worth as much as Lan Yajin?" This man was an idiot. For the sake of a bad woman, he offended the senior board members in front of him. At this moment, these people decided not to indulge him anymore. "Gu Jinkue, you're ignoring the company's welfare for a woman. Right now, the company's stock is plummeting. The whole industry has heard that you gave up a big deal for a woman. Because of this scandal, we've all endured ridicule from others. The board has been patient with you for a long time. Gu Jinkue, you've hindered the group's development. I think it's time to find a new leader for Gu Group." This terrified Gu Jinkue. "Gu Group is my parents' life's work. I absolutely can't hand it over to someone else." He suddenly looked at everyone with pleading eyes. "I was wrong. I just lost my temper for a moment. Please give me another chance. But the board members were unwilling to give him another chance. At this moment, Qin Yin stepped forward. Everyone wants what's best for the company. Why don't we compromise? Let my brother reflect during this time. Before he's discharged, the group can temporarily find an acting CEO. Gu Jinkei thought no one would be willing to be a short-term acting CEO. The board members' eyes lit up after hearing Qin Yin's words. Miss Qin Yin, isn't she the best candidate? Since Qin Yin saved the cooperation with Baixing Group, the whole company has recognized her. Although she's young, she's steady and reliable. Gu Jinkei felt a wave of panic. When did Qin Yin become so popular? Qin Yin smiled. Since everyone trusts me so much, from now on, I'll take over Gu Group. The scene changes. Lin Shanghuai was eating lunch in his office. Kong Yu beside him suddenly snatched the spoon from his hand. Cousin, I worked hard to bring you lunch, and this is how you waste it? You're even distracted while eating. Don't tell me you're thinking about that little beauty Qin Yin. Lin Shanghuai immediately felt guilty. Kong Yu persisted. Originally, you rarely take on patience. But for Gu Qinyin's brother, you were busy back and forth. This old tree blooming can't escape my eyes. La Shangui Puchet Kong Yu Azid. This is the compassion of a doctor. What would a little kid like you understand? At this moment, Qinya's phone call came in. Lin Shanghuai excitedly stood up immediately. Kong Yu saw this scene and laughed. You say you're not interested in her. Look at how cheap you are. On the phone, Qin Yin said she wanted to treat Lin Shanghuai to a meal to thank him. Hearing this news, Lin Shanghuai even forgot he was still at work. He said he had time right now, then happily prepared to go meet her. Suddenly, a person holding a dagger appeared behind him. Lin Shanghuai, you've finally shown up. The man walked into the elevator as usual, but he didn't notice the danger approaching him. Thinking about meeting the girl he liked soon, he was extremely excited. The man was fixing his hair, wondering if he should put on some cologne. At this moment, the elevator door opened. Unexpectedly, Qin Yin appeared right in front of him. The two walked and chatted about what to eat, but the man didn't see someone sneakily following him from behind. Suddenly, they heard a loud shout from behind. Lin Shanghuai, go to hell. My son became disabled because he couldn't get an appointment with you. I'll make you pay with your life. Lin Shanghuai broke out in a cold sweat. He immediately shielded Qin Yin behind him. But in the next second, Qin Yin wrapped her arm around his waist and very calmly said, let me handle this. Then, to Lin Shanghuai's shock, Qin Yin delivered a flying kick to the attacker's body. The knife in the attacker's hand was instantly kicked away, and he fell to the ground. Hearing the commotion, security guards quickly ran over and subdued the attacker. Qin Yin looked at the trembling Lin Shanghuai in her arms and asked, Dr. Lin, are you all right? Lin Shanghuai finally snapped out of his shock, thinking how cool this Gu Qin Yin was. A crisis was so easily resolved by Qin Yin. 3 days later, Qin Ye came to her school. The principal called Qin Ye, who was a guaranteed graduate. More importantly, the principal learned that Qin Ye was about to become the leader of Gu Group. This was a great honor for the school. He asked Qin Ye to give a speech later. Qin Ye was dealing with the principal while walking into the school. Suddenly, she noticed Lan Yajin was also at school. At the same time, Lan Yajin also saw Qin Yin and greeted her enthusiastically. Qin Yin immediately had a bad feeling. Why wasn't Lan Yajin at the hospital today? And how did she happen to run into her here? Could it be that she knew Qin Yin would come back for the assembly? Lan Yajin approached Qin Yin with a fake smile. Qin Yin, how is Brother Gu's health? Please tell me. Qin Yin was furious just looking at this bad woman. She snapped at Lan Yajin. Don't pretend you don't know. Lan Yajin was secretly delighted. She knew Qin Yin wouldn't be nice to her. This was exactly what she wanted. She wouldn't let Qin Yin easily take away Gu Jinkui's CEO position. The girl had just returned to school and encountered the White Lotus's trap. Lan Yajin approached Qin Yin with a fake smile. Qin Yin, please tell me, how is Brother Gu's health? Qin Yin was furious just looking at this bad woman. Don't pretend you don't know. Lan Yajin was secretly delighted. She knew Qin Yin wouldn't be nice to her. This was exactly what she wanted. She wouldn't let Qin Yin easily take away Gu Jinkui's CEO position. Lan Yajin immediately put on a hurt expression. Qin Yin, I didn't expect you to be so arrogant now. Of course, now that you've schemed your way to become the CEO, you naturally want to show off your power. Qinyan originally didn't want to engage with this woman, but she was becoming more and more presumptuous. Qinyan turned back and coldly looked at Lan Yajin. What did you say? Lan Yajin continued her act. What? Did I say something wrong? You previously volunteered to stop classes and intern at the company. Wasn't that just to get promoted? But I didn't expect you to take advantage of Brother Gu's illness, to force him to give up his position as director. He was so good to you before. I really feel it's not worth it for him. The surrounding classmates who heard Lan Yajin's words immediately started discussing. Wow, I didn't know there was such inside information about Gu Group's new CEO. I never imagined Qinyan would be so cunning. She even disregards family ties for power. Lan Yajin was extremely pleased inside. Most students at Hengwen Academy were from wealthy families. Once they take this rumor about Gu Qinyan home, let's see if she can still hold on to the CEO position. I'm afraid no company will be willing to work with her. But unexpectedly, Qinyan smiled. Seeing Qinyan smile, Lan Yajin became a bit flustered. What are you smiling at? Qinyan originally didn't want to bother with Lan Yajin. Now it seems if she doesn't teach her a lesson, she'll be uncomfortable all over. Qinyan suddenly stared intently into Lan Yajin's eyes. I'm laughing at how evil and stupid you are. You go to the hospital every day. How could you not know about my brother's condition? You deliberately waited for me here today just to smear my reputation, right? Lan Yajin was still trying hard to defend herself. I'm not smearing you. You sent bodyguards to monitor Brother Gu and prevent him from seeing people. That's a fact. Qinyan shook her head. That's not called monitoring. Those bodyguards are there to protect my brother from disaster. As she said this, Qinyan deliberately raised her voice. Gu Qinyan, how dare you call me a disaster? Lan Yajin was also angry. The Gu Qinyan from before, who could be easily manipulated by her. When did she become so sharp-tongued? In contrast, Qinyan wasn't affected at all by Lan Yajin's smear campaign. She continued speaking calmly and methodically. My brother was injured because of you. After the surgery, he fell out of bed again because you forcibly entered his hospital room. If you're not a disaster, what are you? I welcome everyone else who comes to see my brother. At this point, a righteous classmate stepped forward. Qinyan isn't lying. A few days ago, my father went to see Brother Gu, and no one stopped him. My father also said there was a girl making a scene at the hospital. It must have been Lan Yajin. The onlooking classmates finally realized they had almost been fooled by this wolf in sheep's clothing. It turns out Lan Yajin deliberately wanted to smear Qinyan's reputation. But Lan Yajin's face was exceptionally thick. Even though her scheme was exposed, she still refused to admit it. She even started playing the victim. She rushed in front of Qinyan. Gu Qinyan, is it wrong for me to care about Brother Gu? Why do you have to make things difficult for me everywhere? Is it because Brother Gu is good to me that you are jealous? Are you jealous? How thick-skinned could this woman be? Even though her scheme was exposed, she still refused to admit it. She even started playing the victim. She rushed in front of Qinyan. Gu Qinyan, is it wrong for me to care about Brother Gu? Why do you have to make things difficult for me everywhere? Is it because Brother Gu is good to me that you're jealous? As she spoke, she even started crying. Qinyan, you just want the classmates to hate me. At this point, even the system Yuanxiu was stunned by Lan Yajin's performance. Does this person have paranoid personality disorder? How can she get more and more into her act? Now she started playing the tragic role again. But Qinyan wouldn't indulge her. Lan Yajin, you brought this upon yourself. But you don't need to worry too much about what the classmates think, because you'll be leaving this high school soon. Lan Yajin seemed to have found a new point of attack. She cried out loudly, everyone look! Qinyan is using my studies to threaten me. She wants to drive me away. But Qinyan, who was being accused, wasn't flustered at all. She asked Lan Yajin in return, I remember you signed an agreement with the school before enrollment. Your grades need to stay in the top 10 of the year to be exempt from tuition, right? Your 10th place last month was already dangerous. This month you're not studying properly again. You're causing trouble everywhere, every day. Your grades will definitely drop further. Do you think I need to drive you away? But I see you're not worried about your grades dropping at all. You'll be advised to leave, because you think my brother, that sucker, will help you pay the 200,000 yuan tuition fee, right, spectators? Today's drama is really enjoyable. Lan Yajin, you can't be serious. Both evil and greedy. It's too low. Hearing others talk about her like this, Lan Yajin became anxious. Don't listen to Gu Qinyan's nonsense. My grades will definitely be in the top 10. I absolutely won't ask Brother Gu for money. Qinyan looked at the person announcing the grades and said with a smile, Lan Yajin, you'd better keep your word. Let's take a look at Lan Yajin's ranking this month together. Lan Yajin suddenly became confident. I must be in the top 10 of the monthly ranking. Qinyan advised her not to be too happy too soon. When the classmates opened the monthly ranking, Lan Yajin suddenly shouted when she saw the third place. Look quickly. I'm in third place. She looked at Qinyan smugly. Gu Qinyan, look carefully. I got third place. What do you have to say now? Qinyan said with a confused look. Lan Yajin, when did you change your name to Lan Yaman? Hearing this, Lan Yajin quickly turned to look. She was stunned. How could it be Lan Yaman? This must be a typo by the school. Then Qinyan's words completely shattered her fantasy. The three characters Lan Yajin are not in front. You're actually 37th. Lan Yajin was dumbfounded seeing her name on the ranking. The mockery from the surrounding classmates further battered her psychological defenses. Qinyan smiled and took out her phone. You can go pack your things. I'm in a very good mood today. I can call the driver to help you send your luggage home. Lan Yajin once again shed tears on the playground. She ran out crying while shouting, You're all ganging up to bully me. The system asked Qinyan if she was really letting Lan Yajin leave like this. Qinyan smiled knowingly. No rush, the best is yet to come. Gu Jinkui, who had broken his leg, was finally discharged from the hospital. He hadn't seen Lan Yajin for a long time. This period had been torture for him. Due to Gu Qinyan's surveillance, he could only occasionally chat with Lan Yajin on the phone. Back at the company, Gu Jinkui felt relieved. He immediately called an important board meeting. Qinyan voluntarily handed over the position of acting chairman to Gu Jinkui. Since brother is back, you should preside over this meeting. Saying this, Qinyan handed the microphone to Gu Jinkui. Gu Jinkui sat in the chairman's seat, putting on airs. Directors, please rest assured. I will definitely take the company's affairs seriously from now on. I won't disappoint everyone again. But as soon as the meeting started, his phone rang. Gu Jinkui looked at the vibrating phone on the conference table. The caller ID showed it was Lan Yajin. A very important meeting was in progress. He resisted answering. Normally, he should have hung up, but he couldn't bear to, because Lan Yajin would definitely be very upset. Qinyan knew it must be Lan Yajin calling, because today was the last day for her to pay tuition. She knew Lan Yajin would definitely come to find Gu Jinkui. The executives in the meeting room also guessed it must be the little vixen calling. This made them speechless. However, seeing Lan Yajin calling several times in a row, Gu Jinkui finally couldn't sit still. The executives were very disappointed when they saw Gu Jinkui's actions. Especially the assistant standing to the side was even more disappointed. Was that girl really more important than the company's future? Everyone sitting here was the backbone of the company. This meeting was related to the important future direction of the company. It involved countless people's livelihoods and countless families. Could Gu Jinkui really not resist? Without consulting the executives, he took the phone and walked out of the meeting room. He even forgot that the microphone on him was still connected to the meeting room speakers. Lan Yajin's tearful voice was heard by everyone. Brother Gu, why did it take you so long to answer the phone? I was really scared. Hearing this, Gu Jinkui panicked. Yajin, what's wrong? Guinkui. The young girl's voice left everyone speechless. Lan Yajin on the other end was crying very sadly. Brother Gu, I might not be able to continue studying at Tangan High School. My final grades don't meet the top student requirements. The school said I'm not qualified to enjoy the top student treatment anymore. I just wasted too much time last semester. That's why I didn't do well. If they give me another chance, I can definitely return to my original grades. It's all my fault. I was so worried about you that I neglected my studies. Gu Jinkui's face was full of guilt. Yajin, don't worry. This is all my fault. If I hadn't gotten into trouble, it wouldn't have affected you. Go home and relax. I'll help you pay the tuition. I'll go to the company's finance department to get the money right away. You can rest assured and continue studying there. Lan Yajin finally smiled. Brother Gu, you're so good. Gu Jinkui, who was in the middle of a board meeting, received a call from the little white lotus. But Gu Jinkui, who walked out of the meeting room, forgot to turn off his microphone. As a result, this call became a live broadcast in the meeting room. Lan Yajin told Gu Jinkui, don't tell Qinyan about this matter. She also said it was because she didn't want Qinyan to argue with Gu Jinkui because of her. The directors in the meeting room were almost angered to death. If it weren't for the inappropriate occasion, they would definitely roll their eyes in unison. This little white lotus, Couldn't Chairman Gu see through it? Everyone fantasized that Qian Yin, seeing his gloomy face, was obviously very unhappy too. Gu Jinkui, returning to the meeting room, felt the atmosphere was very strange. I just received a call from a business partner. The cooperation discussion went very smoothly. Let's continue the meeting. A hot-tempered executive directly slammed the table and stood up. Gu Jinkui, who are you trying to fool? You didn't even turn off your microphone. We heard everything. You abandoned the board meeting to comfort a little girl who failed her exams. I can't believe you did that. Gu Jinkui panicked. Qin Yin felt the time was right. She slowly stood up. Directors, what do you think about changing the chairman? After my observation these past few months, I believe Gu Jinkui is very unsuitable for this position. Gu Corporation is the lifelong effort of my parents and all of you. I don't want to see it decline because of this. Gu Jinkui angrily shouted. Gu Yin, you're willing to abandon your brother just to be the CEO? Qin Yin was equally unyielding. Gu Jinkui, what right do you have to talk about family bonds with me? Before, you almost got me drowned because of Lan Yajin. Now you're ruining the company our parents left behind. You irresponsible person. You don't deserve anything from the Gu family at all. Gu Jinkui was suddenly left speechless. He stood there stunned for a moment. At this time, the company's executives were also angry at Gu Jinkui. For the sake of a little vixen, you've repeatedly abandoned the company. Gu Corporation will be ruined in your hands sooner or later. I've said all I have to say today. If Gu Jinkui is still the CEO of Gu Corporation, I'll resign immediately and withdraw my shares. I can't work with someone like this. I believe Gu Corporation has no future to speak of. Chinya immediately tried to calm everyone down. Everyone, please remain calm. You all have shares in the company. You have the right to decide who will be the chairman. Why don't we take a vote to decide who will be the chairman from now on? Before Qin Yin could say anything more, everyone had already started raising their hands, indicating their support for Qin Yin to become the chairman. Miss Gu originally held as many shares as you, Gu Jinkui. All of us here agree that Miss Gu should become the new CEO. They believed that Chinya's abilities were very strong. Entrusting the company to her would be much more reliable than Gu Jinkui. Chinya looked at Gu Jinkui with a smile on her face. In your eyes, the company is not as important as Lan Yajin. If you're not the CEO, you'll have more time to spend with her. This is more in line with the life you want. Whether you agree or not, you are no longer the CEO of Gu Corporation now. We are just informing you. Qin Yin removed the microphone from Gu Jinkui. From now on, I will personally preside over all major company meetings. Starting today, I am the sole leader of Gu Corporation. The girl had just gotten the simp Gu Jinkui to pay $200,000 for her tuition, and she immediately wanted to go share this good news with her crush. She excitedly knocked on Xiangjin's door. Xiangjin, who was woken up early by the knocking, lazily opened the door. Seeing Lan Yajin, he was a bit surprised. Why are you here? The girl felt a bit wronged. If I don't come find you, you'll never contact me. Lan Yajin was very tired at heart. How could she fall for someone so insensitive? But she just couldn't help it. Then the girl looked at Xiangjin happily. Xiangjin, I have good news for you. As she said this, she suddenly threw herself into Xiangjin's arms. The tuition issue has been resolved. I can finally stay at Tangan High School with you. Xiangjin was immediately startled. What are you doing? Reflexively, he pushed the girl in his arms away. He shouted, Get away! Don't come near me! Lan Yajin felt really wronged. Xiangjin, what's wrong? Why are you treating me like this? Xiangjin kept patting his clothes, as if disgusted by her touch. He shouted at Lan Yajin, Don't you know yourself? After you argued with Gu Qinyan, the whole school knows you're a scheming girl. As he spoke, Xiangjin was about to close the door, saying he didn't want to be associated with the girl. Lan Yajin held onto the door tightly. I wanted to stay at Tangan for you. I've been so devoted to you. I even gave you my scholarship money. How can you distance yourself from me because of a few words from Qianyan? Whose side are you on? Xiangjin was also annoyed by Lan Yajin. Why are you making a scene here? You're always clinging to me like this. It's so annoying. I'll tell you the truth today. At most, I see you as a sister. Although I have issues with Gu Qinyan, smart and beautiful rich girls like her are my ideal type. Hearing these words, the girl trembled with anger. Tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. Xiangjin, you bastard! Heartbroken, Lan Yajin said these words and ran downstairs without looking back. At this time, near Xiangjin's house, Chinya's private car was parked. Gu Jinkui was also sitting in the car. He looked at Chinya with confusion. Why did you bring me here? Isn't this near Xiangjin's house? Because he had his leg broken here last time, he had a very bad impression of this place. As soon as he arrived here, he thought of those bald men. Qin Yin, on the other hand, remained calm. There's a subsidiary of Gu Corporation here. I know you're not happy about the chairman position, but now everyone is upset with you. I can only temporarily manage the company for you. I'll let you manage this company. Once you've shown results, I'll bring you back to headquarters. After hearing Qin Yin's grand plan, Gu Jinkui smiled. Yin Yin, are you telling the truth? Qin Yin got out of the car. Of course it's true. But how long this transition period lasts depends on your performance. Just then, Lan Yajin, who had just come out of Xiangjin's place, walked over. Seeing Qin Yin, she gritted her teeth in anger. Gu Qin Yin, you really are like a ghost that won't go away. Why are you under Xiangjin's building? You're here to seduce Xiangjin, aren't you? How many things do you want to take from me? How many more things do you want to take from me? Qin Yin looked at her like she was looking at an idiot. Since you're walking right into the trap, don't blame me. Lan Yajin, who had just come downstairs, saw Qin Yin. Gu Qin Yin, you really are like a ghost that won't go away. Why are you under Xiangjin's building? You're here to seduce Xiangjin, aren't you? How many things do you want to take from me? Faced with Lan Yajin's angry face, Qin Yin couldn't even be bothered to look at her. You say I'm stealing from you? I'm not interested in recycling garbage, Xiangjin. I don't need to explain anything to you. Besides, the one who shouldn't be here is you, isn't it? At this moment, Gu Jinkui, sitting in the car, couldn't hold back anymore. He pushed open the car door. Lan Yajin, I helped you so much, and you didn't even make plans with me. Instead, you came to find Xiangjin. Seeing Gu Jinkui, Lan Yajin was immediately stunned. She realized she had fallen for Gu Qinyin's trick again. She frantically tried to explain to Gu Jinkui, Brother Gu, you misunderstand. I came to ask Xiangjin to tutor me in physics. A normal person wouldn't believe such nonsense. A man and woman alone in a room. What physics could they be studying? It's more likely they were studying postnatal care for sows. But the love-struck Gu Jinkui was clearly stupid. At this time, Qin Yin came to Lan Yajin's side. Last time you said you went to Xiangjin's house to get a book. This time you say you came for tutoring. You always have excuses to find Xiangjin. But when you're not short on money, you never come to find my brother. All those luxury accessories you're wearing were given by my brother, right? You could easily sell just one of them to pay for your tuition. But you specifically asked my brother to pay your tuition for you. Qin Yin looked at Gu Jinkui's dark face. Brother, wake up. You're just an ATM to her. Gu Jinkui was truly hit where it hurt. He angrily questioned Lan Yajin. Did you approach me just for my money? Thinking that if she admitted it, she would never be able to get anything from Gu Jinkui again. Lan Yajin decided she had to stabilize Gu Jinkui no matter what. The next second, she put on a pitiful act. How can you say that about me? I thought Brother Gu knew the principle, and that letting me stay was just a matter of him saying a word. I didn't expect him to pay my tuition for me. And these accessories, I've never seen much of the world. I didn't know they were so valuable. As she spoke, she took off the accessories and stuffed these accessories into Gu Jinkui's hands. Brother Gu, I'm returning all of these to you. And please take back the tuition money too. I don't want to be called a vain person because of these things. Gu Jinkui immediately felt that he and Qin Yin had wronged Lan Yajin. He looked guilty. Yajin, I was wrong to doubt you. Lan Yajin was furious inside. This idiot was truly easy to fool. At this moment, Qin Yin stood in front of Gu Jinkui. Lan Yajin became nervous. She didn't know what Qin Yin was going to do next. Since Lan Yajin is so noble, brother, if you don't let her pay back the money to prove her innocence, you're indirectly insulting her. Qin Yin whispered in Gu Jinkui's ear, Lan Yajin, she treats money like dirt. Money can't buy her feelings. You've been using the wrong methods all along. To win her over, you must learn to respect her. Gu Jinkui was overjoyed after hearing Qin Yin's words. He felt as if he had suddenly understood the secrets of the universe. Yajin, since you don't care for these materialistic things, I won't force them on you. As he spoke, he stuffed the jewelry into his pocket. Before, I was presumptuous in spending money on you without asking your opinion. From now on, I will never use money to hurt your self-esteem again. It's okay if we can't refund the tuition, but I have a solution. Yajin, just write me an IOU, and then you can pay back the tuition in installments. Lan Yajin felt like a thunderbolt had struck her. That bitch Qin Yin, what kind of terrible idea did she give Gu Jinkui? Gu Jinkui held the IOU, looking at Qin Yin with confusion. Does having Yajin right? And Aya really show respect for me? Why do I feel like she's even colder towards me now? Qin Yin didn't directly answer his foolish question. She reminded Gu Jinkui not to mention Lan Yajin when discussing business matters. Just then, Lan Yajin appeared beside them, wearing her work uniform. What would you like to order? Gu Jinkui was surprised and delighted. Yajin, why are you here? He stood up excitedly. You haven't talked to me for days. I never expected to run into you here. Lan Yajin flipped her hair. I have no choice, my family is poor. To repay the debt, I can only work part-time here while studying, she thought to herself. If it weren't for you, Gu Jinkui, making me right that I owe you, would I need to work this hard? Brother Gu, you don't know, I'm running between school and the coffee shop. I don't even have time to meet you. Lan Yajin pretended to cough a few times. Brother Gu, look, I've even fallen ill from exhaustion. If only I didn't owe you so much money. Gu Jinkui looked heartbroken. 200,000 was indeed too much for a student, so he wanted to say she didn't need to repay it. How could Qin Yin let Lan Yajin's little scheme succeed? She immediately called out to Gu Jinkui. Brother, have you forgotten what I told you? Gu Jinkui was stunned. He couldn't remember what Qin Yin had said to him. So being a good sister, Qin Yin immediately offered some kind advice. Lan Yajin has such strong self-esteem. She's working part-time to prove herself. If you simply forgive her debt, wouldn't that be denying her efforts? After listening, Gu Jinkui felt that Qin Yin made a lot of sense. He looked at Lan Yajin with excitement. Yajin, don't worry. I'll give you enough time to repay every cent you owe me. It turns out that if you guide a love-struck fool well, they can become a great ally. Lan Yajin was nearly furious on the spot. However, Gu Jinkui completely missed the anger on the girl's face. Yajin, take our order. Work hard, and you'll definitely be able to earn that tuition money on your own. Lan Yajin was utterly fed up with Gu Jinkui's stupidity. How could he not understand her true intentions? Qin Yin and Gu Jinkui continued discussing company matters. He asked Qin Yin about the company's travel plans for the year. Qin Yin decided to take everyone abroad to see the aurora. This caught Lan Yajin's attention. Traveling abroad, huh? Since they're making me repay the tuition, I'll recoup my losses elsewhere. This woman heard others were going abroad, and she wanted to go too. She thought it wouldn't be bad to tag along on an overseas trip. Then, she immediately flashed a bright smile at Gu Jinkui. Brother Gu, are you going on an overseas trip? I've heard since childhood that the aurora is particularly beautiful. If I had the chance, I'd love to see it too. Lan Yajin thought to herself, I've hinted so obviously. He'll definitely take me along like before. Sure enough, after hearing her words, Gu Jinkui wanted to bring her along. Qin Yin looked at Lan Yajin, feeling utterly speechless. How could this woman be so thick-skinned? But she didn't plan to indulge Lan Yajin like this. Qin Yin took out a travel price list. She stood up. Lan Yajin, if you want to see the aurora, it's not impossible. But this tour costs over 20,000 per person. If you can afford it, I can sign you up right now. However, if you have 20,000 yuan, why haven't you paid my brother back first? You're not taking advantage of my brother's feelings for you to deliberately delay payment, are you? Lan Yajin was about to explode with anger. This Qin Yin was ruining her plans again. She looked at Gu Jinkui with a pitiful expression. That's not what I meant. Can't I dream of traveling just because I don't have money? Brother Gu, look how Qin Yin is bullying me again. Gu Jinkui stood beside Lan Zazin. He wanted to support the girl and be her hero. Qin Yin wouldn't give him that chance. Brother, I'm doing this for her own good. Lan Yajin is already in debt. If she wastes more money on entertainment, she'll only have a harder time. Gu Jinkui thought Qin Yin had a point. Then he looked at Lan Yajin with sympathy. Yajin, group tours are really expensive. If you really want to see the aurora, Big Brother Gu can help you. Lan Yajin was quite smug. She thought, Qin Yin, you didn't expect this, did you? Your words only made Gu Jinkui more sympathetic towards me. Then she pretended to be very sensible. Brother Gu, can you really help me? But that would cost you again. I really can't accept that. Gu Jinkui was very happy. Don't worry, Lan Yajin. I know you don't want to spend my money, so I thought of another way. When I go on the trip, I'll just take videos of the aurora for you. Lan Yajin was petrified on the spot. What kind of idiotic idea was this? Taking videos? At this moment, Gu Jinkui was completely immersed in his romantic idea. I'll share what I see and hear with you from the other side of the world. How romantic is that? Lan Yajin couldn't hold back anymore. She slammed the menu hard on the table. There are plenty of videos online. If I wanted to watch videos, why would I need you to film them? After saying that, she turned and left. Gu Jinkue scratched his head. Yajin used to be so gentle and considerate. How did she become like a completely different person now? Qinyan watched Lan Yajin's retreating figure. Everything was just beginning. Without financial satisfaction, she would soon be disarmed. Walking home from work, Lan Yajin was fuming. Every time she encountered Qinyan, nothing good happened. It was so annoying. She thought she must avoid her next time and meet Gu Jinkue alone. Just then, a bald, burly man appeared in front of her. Lan Yajin, I've been looking for you. The girl had just gotten off work and ran into an enemy. She bumped right into him. The bald man was both surprised and delighted when he saw the girl clearly. Lan Yajin, I've been looking for you. Lan Yajin was immediately frightened and kept backing away. But the bald man grabbed her. Trying to escape? Come with me obediently to see our boss. Blame your gambler father for selling you. At this moment, Gu Jinkue, who was in his office, received a phone call. What? Yajin has been kidnapped? Uncle Lan explained clearly. What exactly happened? The voice on the other end of the phone stammered. I just owed a little gambling debt, and they kidnapped my daughter. They said they want $1 billion to release her, and they only gave me a week to gather the money. Our family definitely can't gather that much money. If you, young Master Gu, don't give the money, I can only let Yajin fend for herself. After saying that, the other side hung up the phone. Gu Jinkue cursed loudly at the phone, calling this man a scoundrel for dumping the problem on him. He just hung up. At this moment, he received another video. In the video, Lan Yajin was shouting, "Big brother Gu, save me!" And beside her were some fierce-looking men. Although Gu Jinkue was extremely anxious at this moment, he couldn't get that much money all at once. Gu Jinkue's first thought was to ask Qinyan for help. He immediately came to the company and went to Qinyan's office. Qinyan was stunned after hearing his words. You want me to transfer $1 billion as ransom? Gu Jinkue knew that the company's account could gather that much funds. He hoped Qinyan could help. Qinyan angrily slammed the table and stood up. Gu Jinkue, are you crazy? Do you know how much risk the company would bear if we take away this money? For her sake, you want the company's employees to starve? But Gu Jinkue was very righteous. Qinyan, you can't just stand by and watch. Yajin is still waiting for me. Please help her for your brother's sake. Qinyan looked at Gu Jinkue with a serious face. Since you insist on helping her, I have a condition. Gu Jinkue was overjoyed. As long as you're willing to save Yajin, I'll agree to anything. Qinyan didn't bother to waste words with him anymore. I want you to transfer all your shares to me and permanently sever ties with the Gu Group. With your love-struck brain, you're not qualified to continue managing any of Gu's industries. Gu Jinkue knew Qinyan wasn't joking. She really wanted to drive him out. He begged Qinyan not to be so heartless and promised this would be his last time being willful. He didn't want to give up his shares, but he still wanted to trick Qinyan into giving him the money first. Qinyan wouldn't believe this dog of a man. She told Gu Jinkue she would only give him 3 seconds to consider. Saying this, Qinyan began the final countdown. This man had gone crazy. For the sake of Lan Yajin, that White Lotus, he actually gave up all the shares he held. Now he took the $1 billion cash card he exchanged for his shares and came to the kidnapper's lair. But the kidnappers were insatiable. They knew the Gu Group had strong financial power, so besides the $1 billion ransom, they also demanded Gu Jinkue to gamble big with them. Qinyan looked at the henchmen and sighed. She knew these people wouldn't stop until they squeezed Gu dry. So the two could only follow the henchmen onto the yacht. Just then, the orthopedic doctor Lin Shanghuai called out to the two. He said he was also here to spend money as a friend and happened to run into Qinyan here. As he spoke, he secretly winked at Qinyan. Qinyan immediately understood. Lin Shanghuai must be here to help her. So she agreed to let him board the boat with her. They were brought by the henchmen to the casino boss, Brother Dao. Qinyan didn't waste words either. The money was brought. Now she demanded to see the hostage. The casino boss said, "No problem," and then ordered his men to bring the person out. Lan Yajin was brought in by a henchman. At this time, Lan Yajin had already been beaten black and blue. The henchman didn't understand the concept of being gentle with women. He mercilessly threw Lan Yajin on the ground. This broke Gu Jinkue's heart. He ran over and held Lan Yajin in his arms, comforting her. Lan Yajin looked at Gu Jinkue with a pained expression. "Big brother Gu, you brought money to save me, right? Please take me home quickly. I don't want to stay here for another second." Qinyan, standing nearby, looked at Lan Yajin's appearance and felt anger rising. "Stop wailing. Lan Yajin. After I finish gambling with Brother Dao, he will naturally let us go. Brother Dao looked at everyone with a serious face. That depends on whether this round of gambling can satisfy me. Hearing this, Lan Yajin became anxious. Gu Qinyan, are you crazy? Why did you agree to gamble with him? On someone else's turf? How could you possibly win? Are you planning to joke with everyone's lives? If we anger Brother Dao, we're all finished. If you want to die, don't drag me down with you. This time, even Gu Jinkue couldn't tolerate it. Lan Yajin, how could you say such things? They forced us to come and gamble. If it wasn't to save you, Qinyan wouldn't have to take this risk at all. I won't allow you to scold her like this anymore. Now shut up. Lan Yajin was stunned by Gu Jinkue's words. Big Brother Gu, are you scolding me? You've never lost your temper with me before. Do you care more about Qinyan or about those hundreds of millions in ransom? Gu Jinkue also exploded completely. If I cared about the money, I wouldn't have come to save you. Lan Yajin, how have you become so detestable now? For a moment, the two argued incessantly. Qinyan took out a chocolate and put it in her mouth. Brother Dao, you'd better knock these two out first. Don't let them interfere with our card game. Before Brother Dao could speak, two henchmen had already rushed towards Lan Yajin and Gu Jinkue. The two were instantly knocked down by the strong henchmen. The scene finally quieted down. Qinyan handed a chocolate to Lin Shanghuai, gesturing for him to have one too. Lin Shanghuai, who took the chocolate, didn't hesitate, and ate one. This was indeed not an ordinary chocolate. It seemed Gu Qinyan had prepared well in advance. Then Lin Shanghuai also sat at the gambling table. I want to try gambling too. Please include me as well. The casino boss welcomed all comers. Since you're volunteering to send money, I have no reason to refuse. Qinyan's expression suddenly became extremely serious. If that's the case, then let's begin.